have a full house tonight. All right, I like that. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Dania Beach City Commission regular meeting. It is Tuesday, November 14th, and it's 7 o'clock p.m. Call the roll, please.
Mayor James.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harris. Here. Commissioner Brandemart.
Here.
Commissioner Grace.
Here.
Commissioner Salvino.
Here.
City Manager Baldwin.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Thank you.
Can you please bow your heads for a moment of silence? Thank you. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. And excuse my turn of a T-shirt, y'all. Just a proud cane. We're ranked number 2 if anyone wanted to know. Just saying. Presentations and special event approvals. We're going to start with the presentation and the plaques of the Bergeron Emergency Services for their outstanding service to the community during the cleanup of Hurricane Irma. Brad.
Thank you, Mayor James, fellow commissioners, Mr. Baldwin. I'm pleased tonight to make a presentation to Mr. Ron Bergeron Sr., J.R. Bergeron, and his family for outstanding efforts in the service to the community during the cleanup of Hurricane Irma. It was a very difficult storm that came through Florida. It affected 48 counties. And whenever you get a storm of that magnitude hitting that many places, to get the kind of service that the city of Dania Beach received from Mr. Bergeron and Bergeron Emergency Services, outstanding. There aren't enough words to describe it. So I am pleased tonight to present this award to Mr. Bergeron and his family for appreciation of all his hard work and dedication during the cleanup of Hurricane Irma to the city of Dania Beach. We present this award for exemplary service to Mr. Alligator Ron Bergeron and his family.
Right here. Yes, I am. Oh, you were talking to me, huh?
Oh, good.
Yeah, come on, everybody should come down. Absolutely.
We thank you again, Mr. Bergeron, for your outstanding leadership and your services that were given to the city of Dania Beach, while other cities had to stand and wait and unfortunately have contractors leave them. You know, we're happy to say that you were loyal, you were here, and you did an amazing job in helping us clean our streets in order to get our businesses back open, in order to get our residents back to work. And I just can't thank you enough. I just want to say thank you again. Does anyone else have anything to say before I let them speak? Okay, Commissioner Brandemart.
Please continue your business and be around for the next one.
I think I'll be here. I think he'll be here too. He's better shape than me. I'm J.R. Bergeron, the founder of Bergeron Emergency Services. Madam Mayor, Council, Manager, you guys have a #1 team when it comes to your Public Works Director, okay? I'll be straight up honest with you. Without his leadership with your leadership, none of this would have never happened. And with y'all's leadership, the whole council of believing in us, even though your primary contractor, which I'm not going to bring up because it doesn't really matter to me, we came here and performed because that's what we do. That's the way I was when I was born. His foot's been on my neck ever since, okay? And I think it still will be for another probably 20 years, but that's a different story. Back in 2002, I had this dream I was going to be some hurricane cleanup guy. And then all of a sudden, here I am.
All
Look
right.
out.
All right.
And I tell you, without him, his platform of the road construction that we do a lot of, a whole lot of, and then my little vision of starting a small little hurricane company turned into be one of the largest ones in the United States now, one of the top 5. And I'm mighty proud of that, and I'm mighty proud of the teamwork that the team, Brian Thomason, Vice President of the company, Jason Otlich, Area Manager of the company, my wife, which had to put me up with me for 7 days a week at 15 hours a day. That's a rough one there. Wow. God bless her. And then on top of that, it's just been a pleasure to be able to take over what everybody thought once was the largest company in the world.
Throw your shade.
And
That's right.
take care of you guys the way we did. And without the teamwork, I will say again, from your staff, the Public Works Director, Brad Kane, and our team working together positively, we would have never accomplished what we did. And I really appreciate being able to work for you guys. And I hope you remember this mug in the future when we're putting a presentation on again. And you remember that we will be here whether we like our price or not. When we sign a contract,
You stick by.
we're coming to town.
Thank you.
Okay? And we're riding Alligator Ron's horse right downtown.
Now,
Okay? And if that's what it takes to clean it up, we'll eat all that debris with the horses. But y'all have a great night, and I really, really appreciate it. And I really appreciate Brad, the city manager here. Y'all's team is awesome. Our team and your team, without that, there was no team.
Tell us more.
So I really appreciate all of y'all. And y'all have a great night, and thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And this was a small dream years ago. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be brief, but which I'm normally not brief. And it was a long ride on my horse to get here, believe me. But I want to thank the residents, too, because, you know, a lot of people don't realize what happened to all of Florida. 48 counties, like Brad said. Nearly 1,000 cities, all implemented in 24 hours emergency service. And of course, Houston going on, which took a lot of the resources prior to our storm. And nobody has ever faced a storm from Key West to Naples, beyond Tampa, from Key West to Miami to Jacksonville, covered the whole state for 8 to 10 hours. Most storms are 3 hours. Most storms are 8 to 10 counties, not 48. So, but your staff working with our people, we were very honored to be very honest and split the resources equally across this community so we all get out at the same time. And I appreciate the patience. You know, you're the oldest city in Broward County,
yes.
and I'm honored to be here because I don't know of anything older than me. But, no, it's kind of interesting that a lot of your community is the heart of Broward County. And I think they've been through a lot of storms in the past. I know I have. And I think that going into the future, I think we can even do a better job, and we're extremely honored to be a part of this community in multiple ways, and look forward into the future. And thank you for the great honor.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to have Seema from Red Line Media Group. Come on up and give us some exciting presentation on our branding initiative. Can we hit that light, please? Thank you. For those of you in the audience that don't know, we are rebranding in the city of Dania Beach, and SEMA is going, we've narrowed it down from doing focus groups and community outreach. We've narrowed it down to 2 logos and sayings, and we are going to choose one tonight. So, here we go.
Actually, 3 sayings.
3.
There's 2 variations of
3
one
sayings, 2
saying,
logos. Okay.
based on our last workshop a few weeks ago. So this has been a long process, very in-depth process. I see many members of the community that have been involved in various focus groups that we've had to bring the data together and allow us to develop a brand that we believe speaks to this community. And we're pleased today to have the opportunity. We want to thank you all for the confidence in us and giving us this opportunity. And we're going to go through the 2 concepts that were finalized at the workshop, and then the 3 positioning statements that coordinate with each of the logos. So this is option 1. This is an influence board, which kind of just shows what some of the influences were to get to here. This is the Dania Beach with Ride the Wave. This is the Dania Beach with See It, Live It, Love It. See spelled S-E-A, as in ocean. And Dania Beach, See It, Live It, Love It from a visual perspective. That's concept 1. Concept 2, the influences that we utilize to direct us. Dania Beach, Ride the Wave. More modern look. Dania Beach with See It, Live It, Love It. Dania Beach with See It, Live It, Love It from a visual. Would you like me to go back to the beginning? How do you want to proceed as far as decision making?
Do you want to go to the post to see how visually it could look in a 3D portion of it?
So we did a mock-up, a 3-dimensional mock-up of concept 2, which would show an entry point sign, not the large sign that you have slated for the Federal Highway US 1 and Dania and Griffin Road entrance, but this is more at various points as you come through a more minimalist approach. And if you look, the front view is in the middle, the 10-degree view is on the bottom left, and the 25-degree view from that perspective is on the right. So in the sign layout, we actually break out the 3 elements, the magenta, the yellow being the sun, the magenta being the building, the blue being the wave, all characteristics found in Dania Beach, and we divide them up in a 3-dimensional perspective so that if you view it from the side, you can see each element standing alone. If you view it from the front, then you see the brand actually come together.
Okay. So do we have any discussion on these 2 items, seeing as though we have to choose one tonight? Commission?
Would you like me to go back to the
Yes.
concepts themselves?
Commissioner Salvino?
You know, we have a pretty large crowd here tonight, Mayor. What do you think?
I
The public
know.
should make maybe we should have the public raise their hand and see what they think.
No.
She goes, no.
I mean, we've done the public thing. Like, it's gonna be. I don't want to be here all night long.
Okay. You're in charge.
I mean, what do you all want up here? I mean, I'm just one voice. Okay. No, I guess no one else wants to say anything. Oh. Well, speak into your mic.
Well, let's go concept first. Concept 1 or concept 2?
The the three-color concept with the wave in the middle of the D.
So
And
this concept,
yes.
yes.
Mark, is that easily incorporated into the sign that Tony's working on as far as the branding?
I think we need to do a different sign. I don't
Well,
think that
it's
that
still in a-
concept is going to match
It's still in a
where we're
process. It
going.
hasn't been permitted yet, so it's, yeah, go ahead.
Well, hi, Mark LaFerrier, Community Development Director. The sign that's being proposed at Griffin Road and US 1 has a LED board, which could include this logo and the saying, so that's easily accomplished. The other signs that were preliminarily designed and haven't started through the permitting process with the DOT,
Right.
that could easily be replaced with the post sign that was
Okay.
shown here tonight. That work hasn't been as well developed, because our emphasis was really to get that first big sign done.
Yes.
What is the LED sign going to, what information is going to be given there? I'm just thinking of driving from the airport through Dania Beach, and how much information are they really going to read off of that LED sign when that light is always green?
Yeah, well, remember the DOT and Broward County Aviation won't allow us to have sort of a reader board approach to that. That LED board is really to present images, and there's a certain sort of timing on those images, so it wouldn't be a reader board. Like,
Okay, so no information will be on there.
there can be plenty of information. This would fit perfectly, obviously, or maybe a beautiful photograph of a sunset from the pier or something like that could be used at that location.
Okay.
Or sunrise from the pier.
So are we going to choose one? Commissioner Grace?
Can you go back to the first one, please?
Sure.
Because that one was mine. I thought that was more appealing to what I visualized the new branding for Dania Beach to be. And with the concept of S-E-A, instead of S.
This one.
Yes, exactly. And I think I'm probably going to be outvoted, but that's still going to be my number one choice.
Okay.
Commissioner Brandon Marty?
I hate it. To me, I love our American flag, don't get me wrong. That looks like a flag to me. It looks like red, white, and blue. I like the one that depicts the colors of the ocean. That's colorful. I can see that on T-shirts throughout the city. The other one, not so much. Should I vote against yours, Bobby?
It's okay.
I don't like yours.
I'm all right.
Commissioner Salvino, which one are you going to roll with?
I like the other one,
Which one?
not that one.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Like that one? Okay. Vice Mayor?
Go back. Right there, lower
That's
right.
right.
See it, live it, love it,
Yeah.
with the capital D, with the wave inside and the sun and the building, or the development, or however you call it. Progress.
Got it.
I'll say
Magenta.
y'all gonna leave it to me. Oh, okay. I like both. I did have a chance to ask how would both be able to be incorporated, freestanding, three-dimensional, all those things, and which one would better, in my opinion, represent the vision of us as a whole and where we are and where we are going. And I like this one the best.
And he does too.
Oh.
So,
Okay, and I like it with the SEA. Thank you, Colin. I like it with the SEA. See it, live it, love it. And okay, go ahead. What's next?
So now from here, we'll move forward and develop all the other ancillary assets, the shirts, branding components, construction walls, murals, road signage, vehicle signage, all of the other assets. We'll build style guide for brand usage, and the team will develop all of the assets and we'll develop the plan for rollout.
Okay, before you leave, I have a question. What are we gonna do about our seal? Do you think he should maybe turn this into a seal, or are we gonna have two completely different things? Me personally, these two don't match. You're gonna have this seal and this, or he can maybe try and turn that into a seal. Oh, it's a lot of buttons now. Commissioner Brandon Marty.
I thought that we were agreeing at that meeting that on the stationary stuff or legal documents, that we will continue to keep our seal.
Yes, I looked.
Didn't we talk about that?
We absolutely did, and
Yeah,
then I
that's all
went
right.
and did some research, and it just I'm looking at it and it doesn't match. Are we going to keep these colors on it, and then have
love
that as
that
our
seal.
brand?
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
I
two
know what
different.
you
It's
mean.
two different messages that we're putting out there. I know that's what we said, but those are two different messages. I mean, I know that there are some cities that don't use a seal, and there are some cities that use both as a seal. They create their logo and then they make it into a seal as well. So
Can
I'm
we
just-
make a recommendation?
Go ahead.
It may be a good idea for the city attorney to maybe look into the legalities of how the seal impacts
That's right. It's registered.
your decision.
It's just, when you pick it, you register it with the state of Florida. That's all
you
there is
need
to
do.
it.
Okay.
You pay a fee, and then no one else can use it, including anyone else, whoever wants to use it, with bid documents, for example. They're not allowed to use it without city commission permission, in jewelry, T-shirts, anything. It's a city authorized use.
Commissioner Grace.
I'm very comfortable with us keeping the seal the way it is. I love it. I truly do. And of course, the new branding is something very unique, and I think it will be able to stand on its own. So, as always, whatever the commission as a whole want to do, that will be fine with me. But that is my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Okay. Could I ask you to maybe come to us and maybe not make a decision on the seal tonight, but see what it would look like and see if it would complement our brand?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We can do that. We'll move forward and develop all of the additional assets based on the approved brand today.
I do too.
Okay.
And the positioning statement. And when we come to present those items, then we'll present variations of how a seal could be.
Okay. I want to thank you
It's our pleasure.
for
Awesome job.
for
Thank you.
the amazing job that you've done. We came at you very aggressively, and you responded in a manner that is quite professional. And I'm very happy to be doing business with the city of Dania Beach, business that's right here in our own backyards that is going to help us form the vision and where we're going, the progress where we're going. So thank you so much.
We're thankful for the opportunity and your confidence in us. While we work globally and providing services, creative services to companies all over the world. It feels very good to the entire team to actually work on something that will impact our direct community. So we thank you for the opportunity and the trust and belief in us, and we're excited about the future.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. No. Okay, we're going to move the water one to the end of the presentation. So we're going to go to 3.5, special event request by the city of Dania Beach. 3.4, I'm sorry, 3.4, a special event request to allow the Christmas tree sales from the 17th of November to the 27th. Are there any issues?
There are no issues, Mayor.
Anyone have any comment?
Move the item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, now 3.5, the special event request. This is for the motorcycle show to be held at Frost Park on January the 27th. Are there any issues?
There are no issues.
I
Okay,
have some-
Commissioner, I got you.
Okay.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes, Clyde, if you can come to the podium for a second, please. In the past, I know that we've had the cooperation with the Dania Casino, and I noticed in the last month that we've had excessive trucks and cars that are parked in that back lot. Is that going to pose a problem for you, or can you
It
tell
will
me?
be perhaps an obstacle. That's the park and ride lot. It's similar to the one that's behind competition that Steve Sinclair leased out. It's what's going on all around the airport. I think the High Lie can see some profit in doing that. And it's been very full the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
We have contacted them, we will have a meeting. Clara has set up a meeting with them, but we have been told that they will allow us to park there at $10 a car. Private property, I don't know what I can do.
Okay,
But the
okay.
church is gonna be $5 a car with a very reasonable breakfast.
Oh, I like the breakfast part.
When-
I've got to ask the city manager, if I may. Did we authorize them to have park and ride at the Dania Casino?
I'm sorry, do we authorize parking, right?
Business that they open in their lot.
Park and
That,
ride?
I'd have to ask Mr. LaFerrier.
Look, because I didn't see anything coming before us
Thank you.
asking it.
Park Area Community Development. I don't recall that being approved, but I'll have to look into it further and get back to you, if you don't mind.
No, it's
they're
not you.
No.
I mean, it's a concern because we have to make sure that we protect everybody in this city, and nothing has come across my desk to indicate that they've asked for this park and ride, and you have to have permits for it. Like, I have to have a permit to do a sidewalk or driveway or anything else in the city of Dania Beach. I just can't go out and set up just because I want to make a profit. I can't do it.
That's a good point. I just assumed that they went through regulations. I just see it, you know, I'm an observer. Will you like add anything to, on the?
So are they in the casino?
We've got the
Claire
sign,
Frost.
Claire Frost, 642 Northeast 3rd Street. We got the sign approval. He went from $0 to $5 to $10 for the car, but motorcycles will be free. Well, that area where those cars are is where the motorcycle
motorcycles
parking's
park, I
been
know.
all these years.
Right.
The thing is, when that show starts to open up from 8 to 5, those cars aren't going to be able to go anywhere. I'm hoping, I have asked for a meeting, there will be a meeting, obviously. I'm hoping they're going to move that situation someplace else, the day. That's my hope.
Well, they're gonna have to do something more than a
that's
day if
not
they're not
possible.
authorized to be open.
They've been there a long time. They've got big signage, come park here. It's called Park at the Ports, Park near the ports. It's been there for a year.
Nope.
6
No,
months.
it
No,
hasn't
no,
been there
no,
for
not
a
a year.
year.
It has not
But
No?
No.
it's mind-boggling how we're having pop-up businesses and no one's noticing.
Start out small, but
Yeah,
It's
real
huge
good
right now. It's huge.
But the thing is, if those people try to come in and out during that show,
They can't.
they're not, because we shut down Gulfstream. So I think they've,
Fronton.
I would think they've got a plan for that one day for that business. Fronton. But we
Commissioner
have
Brandon-
to have a meeting.
Commissioner
with them,
Brandon Marty?
First
And we
of
haven't
all,
had it.
I was over there. In fact, I'm the one that brought this really out to the commission because they've already put up signage, which we don't even allow our regular people that have been here for 30 years to do. As soon as we see they've done it without our permission, they have to come before us. Second of all, they're not going to do nothing for one night because when I park there to go on a cruise, I'm gone a week. I don't see how the traffic, you're right, is going to get in and out of that one road for all the port and airport cars that are parked there. But they're not parked there just overnight.
day.
Honey, they're leaving there for a week. And, it never came to us for approval. I don't even know how they're getting away with it. You try and open a business in this city and see if we're not going to be on your neck. It's ridiculous. We got to protect our residents and your wonderful event at the same time. Now, I was thinking, do you think that the east side would be such a big deal for them to park their cars? Because they've also got buses there, shuttle buses, 4 and 5 at a time, to shuttle the people from that lot over to the airport, and they're waiting in line a long time when they go to the cruise port. Did you ever go to drop somebody off there when the big ships are there?
Well, that's my hope, that they're going to move that operation over there maybe a week before so they can come around the other way and not have to go through the motorcycle traffic.
But
But
you're
we need a
asking
meeting.
us to approve something that we foresee a lot of problems for if they disagree. Why don't we go pressure them?
Well, I'm just so happy that they're agreeing to give us the lot for the show. I'm because we could not do it without that lot.
Exactly,
We
exactly.
could not.
You're going to
So-
need a lot of police officers there because the traffic is going to be unbelievable.
Okay, do you guys want to postpone this
No,
until?
no.
Okay,
We've got the
no.
agreement,
Excuse me,
signed agreement with Casino.
We're
My
gonna-
light's on, Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Grace.
I would like to make a motion that we approve this event because this has been one of our seasonal events in the city of Dania Beach for all of those that you see on the wall there. And I think that once Claire sit down and talk to the people at the casino, we will be able to work something out. At the same time, I'm asking Mark Lafarian, please, to check to see what's going on because we've had this problem before with the Tiki Bar, and I don't want to see it come before us again, that we have people just do what they want to because they think that we're not watching them. And this is our city, and we're not going to have it. So that is my motion that we approve this event.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Special event request for the holiday tree lighting to be held here on the 30th from 6 to 9. Do we have any issues?
No issues, Mayor.
Move the item.
Second.
Wait a minute. Did we do anything about the decorations? Were you able to get in contact with Jim and see if we?
No.
Are we not going to have them? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. And now we're going to have the video from the
Mayor,
fall.
I'm sorry, we need to table that item. He's not here yet, Dr.
Who's not here?
The video?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, we're going to show the video
Okay,
from the
good.
Family Fall Festival that was at C.W. Thomas Park. That's Commissioner Grace's item.
Let me try and set the stage. For the last 4 years, we've had an event at C.W. Thomas to try to keep all of our children in one area. Each year it seems to have grown more and more, and I like the idea that even though the children are dressing up, we have the parents coming, and it seems to be an event that in the next 5 years we might outgrow C.W. Thomas. I'm hoping not, but it is an event that Tamara James Foundation started when she was not even on this commission, and it's actually having the residents bring their cars out, decorate
Trunk or
the trunk
treat.
of the cars, and put all of the candy and the gifts and so forth. And then we have the vendors come out with the bounce houses, the DJs, the goldfish, hot dogs, hamburgers, and I'm telling you, I was just ecstatic the way it turned out this year, and I thought that I should share it with the people who were not there, so maybe next year you can come and be with us.
And bring your trunks and your candy, please.
Yes.
What's that? What's that? Star power. Look it.
Those were our 3 winners.
Thank you. That was awesome.
So don't forget to bring your candy next year, bring your costumes. My husband said, you're not leaving the house like that, are you? I said, everybody else is out there. I'm leaving just like this. I'm out there. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
That was me in the Batgirl costume, if you guys didn't notice. We're going to go to the water supply presentation by Mr. Fred Letcher.
Good evening. Apologize for the traffic on I-95. Not a...
No worries.
Okay, you hear me okay?
Yes.
This is just an information item. We want to kind of keep you all advised of kind of a evolving situation with the water supply. And I'm going to run through very quickly some kind of background so that you know where we're at and kind of tell you what we're doing going forward here. Like I said, it's kind of an evolving thing, so we're gathering more information even today. So as you're all pretty aware, historically, we drained a lot of area here so that we could provide development. The coastal ridge is basically right where we're standing. It's the high ground, the mountaintops for South Florida, so to speak. What that did, however, by doing that, by draining things, we created a lot of saltwater intrusion, and the city, because it's had coastal well fields, has kind of dealt with this saltwater intrusion problem for some time. Saltwater intrusion causes basically there's an equilibrium between the salt and fresh water, so there's a tongue there, and as it moves inland and we turn wells on, it will tend to try to pull salt water up. And that's been a situation that has evolved with time with this city going back probably 80 or 90 years. All right, so not a new scenario. So this is basically your service area. Back in the day, we actually had a well downtown and a water tank here, like right across the street from City Hall, believe it or not. That was done away with in the 1940s. So we had a series of wells in 47 and then in the 50s, and in 1980s we built the 2 wells that are out on Sterling Road. And then in the 90s, because salt water was kind of chasing the city's well, the city, the county, Hollywood and Hallandale, and the taxpayers of Broward County entered into the regional well field, which is way out at Brian Piccolo Park. The city has continued to get water use permits, and we have an agreement to buy water from Brian Piccolo Park. An issue that has come up, we were given a permit in 2012 for 1.1 MGD. There was a question raised at the time that permit probably shouldn't have been issued until the county's permit was issued, which was not and still is not. The county did tell the water management district that you get all the rest of the water that you needed from Brian Piccolo, and you have for a very long period of time been kind of a partner saying we're interested in having our finger in the pot of the C51 Reservoir project, which is up in Palm Beach County. It doesn't exist yet, but they're getting towards a process where they are looking to get it started. There's some agreements and things that are starting to float around and some discussions, so it might actually be real. And to this point, we've kind of set that aside. This kind of changed in 2016. The county and the district, in dealing with their water supply and their consumptive use permit, the county's supply got cut back on Brian Piccolo. At least that's the proposal. And that creates a problem because Dania Beach's allocation for that was cut back. And so there's a question about being able to guarantee the long term, and we're talking 10, 20 years out from that well field. This is kind of what the city looks like. The district asked us to create a 50-year demand projection, and I should tell you that projecting water supplies 50 years out is, I don't know, the lottery maybe, as far as the accuracy of that. So things will change, economics will change, but we have this idea that we're going to need something on the order of about 3.3 MGD in 2050. Right now, the problem that we have from the county looks like about 1.5 million is guaranteed, and so there's clearly some shortfall that's there. And so we've been working for about a year behind the scenes to try to figure out options. As late as today, I had a conversation with Fort Lauderdale. They called me today, so we can at least start crunching numbers. We have a series of solutions that exist out there that we are pursuing, everything from pulling all of FPL's water here, a portion of it, C51, you have a finger in there that you said you'd like to keep your finger in for 1 million gallons a day. There's a lot of issues with that, so I wouldn't put all my eggs in a basket. There's the discussion of trying to skim some surface water with horizontal wells or swapping an allocation with Hallandale. The agreement with the county does not allow that to happen, so that would need to be altered in order to do that. Again, other parties are in play. And there's a bunch of other things, buying water from Hollywood and Fort Lauderdale, and even trying to do indirect potable reuse or something like that. We've tossed all these issues out there. We have tried to look at what the potential recovery is. The yellow ones are a little problematic because the 50-year plan, we're short, but clearly over 20 years we would have water supply going forward with that. So like I said, this is fluid. We're trying to put together what the pluses and minuses are, and what I expect you will see over the next probably year, maybe more, is some discussion about some of these options as they're developed a little further. There is a discussion that's floating around about C51 coming from the county and some other folks that's just kind of like sprung up out of the ground like recently, in like the last week or so. So we'll
Just sent us the draft agreement last
Monday,
week.
yeah.
So
there'll be some discussion about that. I mean, it's really recent kind of stuff. And so we thought that given that you'll start to hear some issues about this, you should at least know that there's ongoing efforts, but it's very fluid at the moment. Much to do, and there's time, so there's not a lot of immediacy, although there are some things that may need some attention more than others. We got to sort out what these options really are and how they might be permitted, or how we might swap allocations, which requires changes to agreements that are currently existing. Sorting out the reliability of this. One of the issues is, as you've seen, we've had these changes with time. We need a better solution, not one that relies on somebody else or that it can magically go away. So multiple eggs, multiple baskets, all right? The agreements need to be sorted out, so there'll probably be some time and discussion that the city attorney will talk to you about as we do that. The Brian Piccolo agreement needs to be changed. So that's one thing you will see coming to you at some point. We don't know what that looks like. One of the discussions is a swap with Hallandale. Hallandale has the ability to treat saltwater, but they don't do it right now because they don't have any wells. So they're using more fresh water than Dania Beach would need, and it seems that, wow, we could maybe work a deal there and get their capacity for that. And then you'd have way more than you actually need, which would be fine. The C51 discussion, like we said, has just like popped up in the last week as an issue, and we just got agreements. Today we got the water use permit. The issue with all water use permits with the district is they, of course, have a caveat that, well, they can change their mind and reduce the allocation in the future. And, of course, before you spend money, those are issues that we want to consider further and understand more about. So you're going to find this out, but there are time, no immediacy, but you should be aware that there'll be ongoing conversations, and there'll be some things that we will probably bring to the commission. And since C51 popped up last week, we thought you at least ought to know what in the world people are talking about. They start talking about C51 reservoir.
How confident are you that we will find a resolution that works for both sides of I-95?
Well, the west side of 95 is getting water from Hollywood via the Brian Piccolo well. So they have the issue. The county's in the process of trying to address the issue, and they're looking at C51 as their solution to ensure they have water supply there.
Okay.
There are two other municipalities other than Dania Beach that kind of have their fingers stuck out there in the C51 thing, Sunrise and Lauderhill. Neither of them have signed on to Brian Piccolo, or excuse me, to C51 either. Both have kind of similar reservations as the way we understand it. And so we're still kind of looking at it. Now, can we get a water supply solution? We will do. That will happen. It's a matter of kind of getting together with some of our neighbors and figuring out who has water, who doesn't. For example, the conversation with Fort Lauderdale today, they're good today. 10 years from now, they have a problem. So everybody's got this water supply issue, and there's some regional work that needs to occur, which is why C51 came up But there are other options. Nobody's recapturing stormwater. If we can recapture stormwater, by the way, that's not regulated by the district, so you can get what you want. I got a couple thoughts on that, on how to do that. You can do desal. You're a little limited with that because of disposal of the concentrates problem, which is why we didn't go brackish water before. You're right now sending concentrate from your nano plant to the sewer system, which is by far the cheapest thing you can do. And let's back up to the nano plant just for a minute. The major reason that we needed to go that direction was Brian Piccolo's water quality is such that you would not be able to meet all the drinking water regulations by your current system. But the nano plant solves that problem, gave us way better quality water anyway, and actually running both plants together is great. There's some other issues that we've talked about with the county, with the airport, and some other things. So maybe some really good stuff that comes out of these discussions. But we're very, very early.
Commissioner Sabino?
It seems like what's going to happen if these wells are not big enough to supply the areas, which you're basically saying that's why they're getting ready to take us offline eventually. And we're looking for the solutions. And then what's going to put us in a predicament when we start talking to Hallandale or Hollywood, the price of water is going to go up considerably. Let me finish on it. The other, I mean, some of the options that we had, and we saw this coming years ago, and then you said that we have the ability to take salt water and into fresh water. Is that what you said? I missed that, or?
No, actually, Dania Beach does not.
Does not.
Hallandale, however, does.
Okay.
So keep in mind your water supply wells. One of them is over 30 years old. One of them is about 10 or about a little less than 10 years old. The Brian Piccolo wells are actually 30 years old at this point almost. So some of that infrastructure has been around for a little while. There needs to be a regional solution. We did meet with the county. They agree that there's a regional solution needed. The district kind of helped create some of these issues for us, and we have to work through them, and they kind of pop up. The short-term future, no issues. County's going to provide us all the water we need. So we've got, that's why I say we've got some time to kind of work this out. But the county and Hallandale and us all have the same issues.
I understand what you're saying. That nobody's going to run out of water. It just depends on where we're going to get it from and what we're going to pay for it. And the key to this is that, you know, should we be looking at our long-term solution in the city itself to try to secure ourselves our own well, whether it's a desaltation plant of some type, or, I mean, as Dania grows and when more people come here, or anybody else that may want to purchase water from us, why wouldn't we be looking at those alternatives?
They're up there.
I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
Well, Ned, we can go back and
That's okay.
bounce through a lot of that stuff, but it gets into some weeds that we probably, it's too early to talk. My suggestion to you all is multiple sources, all of them be smaller allocations. You only need 3.3 MGD. It's not a huge amount of water, right? So if you have some from Piccolo, you have some from a couple other sources, if something happens, you know, the problem right now has been Dania's had all of its water from its own wells. If those go wrong, that's a problem. So we, you know, in 1990, we made an agreement to get it from Piccolo, which is fine unless now we're getting it all from Piccolo, basically, with the current wells on standby. So they're still there. They're not abandoned. They're still there, and we can use them if we need to. But if Piccolo goes away, which now we're hearing some of that allocation goes away, see, there's this kind of cascading problem, and you need to have some alternatives that sit outside of just having one solution. And that kind of that idea would be what we would try to come back with, some solutions that, you know, some of them may be very exotic. Cost is obviously a huge issue.
Yes.
Huge issue. And C51 is not inexpensive water.
Commissioner Brandon Marty?
Where does the Seminole tribe figure into this? Where do they get their water from?
They have their own wells, but the Seminole tribe is a sovereign nation.
Can we steal their water?
No, ma'am.
No, I'm saying that for a good reason. It says here, exploring water supply alternative with the Seminole tribe. Are we going to take it or what?
Well, we've had a little conversation with them about trying to see if we can secure some raw water from them. You only need raw water, okay?
Yeah, raw.
And even if you bring in treated water from somebody else, you still have to rechlorinate it, so you still have a water plant, you still have your storage tanks, you still have your distribution system. So there's some issues there. So we've talked to them. The question is, it goes back to the cost issue. The Seminoles is 8 miles of pipeline.
8 miles. Yeah, well, Commissioner Salvino's right. They're going to want an awful lot of water for the glass of water. So we're going to ration you all. You have to shower together 2 days a week.
Thank you.
You better sell lots more.
Oh, there's lots more.
We appreciate you. Thank
All
you
right.
for the
Thank you.
update.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Citizens, citizens comments. If you want to make a comment, we have these little papers that are right outside, and you can fill them out and give them to our wonderful city clerk, Louise. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. First citizen, Daryl Maxwell, I'm sorry. Please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Daryl Maxwell. My address is 2275 Northeast 12th Street, Apartment 20. I live in Pompano Beach, Florida, and the zip code is 33062.
Okay.
Can I start?
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am being evicted tomorrow. I am being evicted tomorrow because Dania Beach Housing Authority is permitted to appoint an unqualified neighboring housing authority employee as termination hearing officer, judge, jury, and executioner. I am being evicted tomorrow because the unqualified appointed hearing officer either is ignorant to the rules of law and proper hearing procedures, or just unwilling to apply them appropriately. I am being evicted tomorrow. I have been attacked by them. In place of transparency, we have a black hole of injustice. We must protect the people. The devil. God.
Daryl, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You said you live in Pompano?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Grace, first. You probably want to ask.
You were a resident of the Dania Housing Authority?
Yes. I was
Okay.
a resident of Dania
Okay.
Beach first.
Okay, this is where
Can
we're
you
trying
give
to-
that address for us?
Where I was living in Dania?
Yes.
111 Southeast 1st Street, apartment 212, I don't remember, 212.
Is that the Sacatora Apartments?
No, that's Villa Hermosa, across
Villa-
the street here.
Okay.
Okay. And why are you being evicted?
Yeah.
I thought I was clear.
I mean, I know you said a lot of
Dania
stuff.
Beach Housing Authority is allowed to appoint the hearing officer.
Who is the hearing officer?
I have the names. I didn't know I was going to need to present them tonight.
Okay, you don't have to.
The hearing
But
officer.
are they on the board?
No, they're an employee of Hollywood. Like I stated, they are permitted to appoint unqualified neighboring housing authority employees as termination hearing officers, unqualified to distribute the law fairly, or unwilling, one of the two. I'm a victim of it. But see, the thing is, I won. I tricked them into the room. I had HUD admit to Congressman Deutsch's office in front of an attorney that I was mistreated. And I won.
for you.
And they agreed to reopen my case. But I'm still getting evicted tomorrow.
Because you spoke out. That's why.
Because you opened your
Well,
mouth, right?
I want to thank you for your bravery
It is
in
what it
speaking
is.
out. It's just not enough people that speak out on injustices, and I am sorry that this has happened
This
to
is
you.
huge. And the people of Dania Beach don't deserve it. The baby mama, see, I'm a single Section 8 recipient. But I think about the families that are destroyed by this system that is unfair and unjust and does not give them a fair chance to defend themselves when they're accused of doing something against Section 8 rules. And from what I understand, Dania Beach is notorious for this behavior, and there's a record.
Well, we have had some issues and some complaints in residents that came out and spoke about the Dania Beach Housing Authority.
But this is not about that. This is about them being permitted to pick an unqualified.
Well, we
hearing
don't make the rules for the
No,
housing
I'm
authority.
just making the comment.
Okay. Would you like to serve on the Dania Beach Housing Authority
I
board?
would certainly most likely.
Good.
Absolutely, I have the time.
Yes, it is, because I put Miss Ivy Cure on there, and it's down in our agenda that she can't serve at this moment because we needed someone that actually was low income, that stayed.
I fit the criteria. I live
you
below
fit
the
it?
poverty level. I just live poor well.
You look real good.
Thank you.
That's all
I'm
that is.
59 years old.
Oh, all right, all right. So, yeah, can someone make a motion?
I make a
think the
motion, put
person
him
has to
on
be-
there.
Has to be currently receiving the benefits. If he won't receive them tomorrow, we gotta
He's
vote.
receiving them. He said he.
No,
go-
I'm being evicted tomorrow. They agreed to reopen
He's
my
not gonna
case.
qualify.
But they're doing the moonwalk. They lied to Congressman Deutsch's office.
Okay, we're gonna
and my
keep you
attorney.
on. I'm gonna keep you on file,
Mhm.
so you can serve on the board.
Absolutely.
If we have.
If I have to serve out of boxes, I'll be served.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
You're
Maxwell.
very welcome, and thank you for listening.
Did you want to speak?
You mentioned about the congressman,
Congressman Deutsch's office.
and so I had the attorney pull the minutes of one of our meetings, and the mayor elated to this earlier that we had two young ladies that did come before us and speak against the housing authority, and they were also evicted after that. I cannot speak as a commissioner to the congressman office, but we do have the transcript of that meeting, and I am more than happy to give that to you so you can give it to
Absolute-
the congressman's office. Our meeting with the two ladies that were evicted, unjust.
Thank
'Cause
you.
this is not open.
Emmanuel George.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night. I sure will. Thank you. Move back.
If he wants to.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Emmanuel George, 17 Northeast 2nd Avenue. Basically, this Sunday in historic Carver Ranches, now known as West Park, I will be working with Miss Just Cynthia at the Bowles Strong House, which is a historic society. She turned her house into a landmark where there's a lot of rich local black history. And I'm working on, many people know, I'm doing a documentary on the history of Northwest Dania Beach as well as Liberia. And basically, one of the troubles I've had is trying to find archive photos of many infrastructure that was on Fifth Avenue, that was at the Paradise Club in Liberia and some of these other historic places that many people do not have. And one of the things I'm pushing for is that there is, I believe, 13 vacant buildings, properties, that's just there. And I'm pushing to have one of these be a place like the Strong House at West Park, where there could be people who could donate and elders who could donate their archive photos, any artifacts to preserve the rich black history in Broward's first city. And many people know that West Side is Broward's first black community. So, it's important to know about local history as well as for the youth, so that there can be something to pass on for the next generation, so that people can know about what happened in their own backyard, so they could take pride in their community and be willing to give back and definitely preserve what's left. So that's basically what I'm pushing for, so that, and I believe it can be done if it's something that's more people would know about, and that's basically what I'm pushing for.
There are
Sorry.
3 people, Emmanuel, that are in this audience now that can tell you more about the Afro-American community than I can ever. I only came here in 1951. Mr. Collins, Rodney Collins, Cheryl Baker Hill, and Jimmy Peterman, who I know that their parents were pioneers of the city of Dania Beach. I did reach out to Gracefully Aging for photos and articles. I know that some of these people do have them, but digging them out of their files and so forth is going to be, I'm sure, a job, because I've got boxes and boxes of stuff since 1970 that I don't know where half of them are. I know they're in a safe place, but trying to pull them out. So if I can ask Mr. Collins, Cheryl Baker, and Mr. Peterman to stand so you can see who these people are, so maybe they can help you, okay?
I know 2 of them already,
Okay.
but
I
all
mean,
right.
If there's a history in this room, they have it.
Okay.
And also, we do have surplus properties, and that's something that the commission is going to be looking at, what we decide to do with them. I would like for it is something that I would like for us not to sell all of our surplus properties, but possibly have some things or programs or things that we are lacking here in the city. So
And
thank
I
you.
would I'm sorry for cutting you off. I would be willing to help out as well, because same thing with the city of Hallandale. I'm working on another film about the Palms nightclub, and one of the elders, I stood there for about like an hour and a half, 2 hours, helping her out with her archive photos. So if it's,
Thank
it would be
you.
nothing for me to, it would be, I wouldn't mind helping out with the elders and assisting in looking through these photos to help them out, because like I said, history is imperative, and if people don't know it, then it's easy for it to be taken away. So
Thank you. Gloria Fernandez. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission members.
Good evening.
My name is Gloria Fernandez, and I live at 3831 Southwest 56th Street in Dania. That is a single-family home located immediately east of Southwest 40th Avenue between Griffin Road and Sterling. The reason I'm here today is I have a lot of concerns about traffic on Southwest 40th. I often walk on that street almost on a daily basis. Traffic there is whizzing by in excess of the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. We have a number of children who go to the public schools on Sterling and 40th, and it's an accident waiting to happen, quite honestly. We also have, generally between the hours of 5 to 6:30 in the evening, congestion. We have bumper-to-bumper traffic. Southwest 40th, even though it traverses a residential area, it's become a very convenient alternative to 441. It's also a cut-through to the Seminole Hard Rock Casino via Lucky Street. So I am urging the city of Dania Beach to take steps to calm the traffic on Southwest 40th, and if there's a way to reduce traffic as well, perhaps through a dead-end solution through Lucky Street as well, where it joins Southwest 40th. I'm joined here today by a number of my neighbors who have very similar concerns. You'll hear of their concerns. And so I don't want to take too much time, but I want to thank you for your attention to this matter, and it does affect our daily lives, and I am very concerned also about the number of children who use that street. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll address this when it comes up on the agenda. Yes. Public safety reports. Who's up first? Chief Marks.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners.
Good evening. How are you?
As everyone's aware, heroin and fentanyl is surfacing all over the country. We've noticed it a bunch here. We respond to numerous overdoses. Our deputies are now equipped with Narcan, which gives us the ability to try to treat them if we get to them within a certain amount of time, and we've been quite successful in them. On the other side, we have the enforcement end of it. Last week we put a dent in. We arrested a suspected dealer with one of our federal counterparts. We seized 3 ounces of heroin, and we're still working on the suspect. We had a funny one the other day. One of our detectives was driving down Federal Highway in a unmarked vehicle, plainclothes, sees a female waving people down. So he kind of goes over to the next lane. He gets waved down, stops. She jumped right in the passenger seat, so they just went straight to jail. We've been having an increase in bike thefts. Juveniles are running around. We've caught numerous bike thieves, east and west side. We caught another one the other day. This time, the actual homeowner caught the juvenile stealing bikes off his front patio. So when he saw him, confronted him, the juvenile took off. He ran him down and held him for us. But every time we arrest one, there's 2 more. Just so everybody knows, they've been using an app called OfferUp. There are apps you can sell items, and there's really no way to track it. They communicate there. Rarely are phone numbers given out, but it's something to watch out for. A lot of stolen items are ending up online, either Craigslist or these apps like OfferUp. The sheriff is hosting a grocery giveaway and food distribution this weekend, November 18th, at the Sanctuary Church. It's located at 1400 North Federal Highway in Fort Lauderdale. and the hours are from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's also a shred-a-thon this weekend at the Weston District Office. It's 17300 Royal Palm Boulevard in Weston. And currently we're in the process of getting our date set for hopefully around the first of the year for a medicine cabinet and shred-a-thon, like we do at Bass Pro. I always have a good turnout. That concludes my report. Does anybody have any issues, questions?
Nope, not at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on down. Good evening.
Good evening to all members of the dais. Sean Brown, Broward Sheriff's Office Fire Rescue. I have really just two items of interest this evening to share with you all. The first of which has to do with a recall on fire extinguishers. Everybody's probably heard of the company KIDDE, K-I-D-D-E. They manufacture a lot of extinguishers that look very similar to that with the plastic handle and trigger. There's a recall on those because there's a failure to discharge and there's a lot of problems with nozzles actually detaching from the extinguisher. So it's been linked to one known fatality as a result. They're recalling about 37.8 million fire extinguishers dating all the way back to 1973. So if any of the citizens, residents of Dania Beach own those, we don't typically allow them in commercial buildings. They're not rated commercially, so there's not many businesses in the city that have these that we're aware of. But if you do happen to run across these, or if you happen to know, if you do happen to see them in any of the businesses, just advise them they can go to the CSPC.gov, I think it's gov, yeah, CPSC.gov, that's the Consumer Product Safety Commission. They can also go to KIDDE's website, KIDDE.com, or you can just do a Google search for KIDDE fire extinguisher recall, and you can go anywhere on that first page, and you can pull up the information on it. I can tell you this: I don't know if you can see from there, but there's a boatload of model numbers. So I urge you to go to the website to actually see if your model number matches that, and if that's the case, go ahead and contact KIDDE for the recall. I was asked about the turkey fryer problems and demonstration, so I'm going to show you a video on that tonight. It's one that State Farm actually put out, and then I'll go through some of the safety tips regarding fryers as we're approaching Thanksgiving, and that's a pretty popular way to cook turkeys. So let me play the video for you real quick, and it's about a minute and a half, and then I'll come back and we'll hit some safety tips.
Hi, I'm William Shatner, and this is my thing, fried turkey. Tastes great. So dangerous, you can't even imagine. I've burned myself, almost burned my house down. It's a great taste, but you gotta be safe.
Hey, wait until I get out of here. Yeah.
Well done.
You can't use it as absorbent.
Yeah, a garage or any kind of a building, a shed, or even a covered deck, they catch on fire really, really easily. And sometimes it's a tempting place to do this because the weather might be bad or it might be raining a little bit, but it's an exceptionally dangerous place.
How many people are going to be frying turkeys?
We are. My husband does it every year.
Just don't have it well done like that.
Yeah, I usually, if we have a big crowd, I usually fry one and I smoke one. But we're just doing a smoke this year because we got a small crowd. So, obviously,
So you want to deep fry a turkey? Excellent choice. As far as
that one came from. Sorry about that. So, I mean, as you can see from the video, it can be extremely dangerous to actually fry a turkey. So I'm going to go over some safety tips. Some of them are going to be pretty common sense, and then others will maybe hope be something you haven't really thought about. So anyway, keep all fryers obviously outdoors, out of garages, as you saw there, and off of any wood decks or plastic decks. Make sure they're located a minimum of 10 feet from any structure. As I was searching for videos, I saw this one video of, and I almost picked it to play, but the guy had it out in front of his yard, and the whole thing went up, and it was right next to his house, and it started melting the siding, very similar to what you saw in the video when the guy dumped the water in with the oil. So the other thing you would probably think is common sense is not to use it in the rain, because oil and water do not mix. Make sure that the fryer is on a level surface, and do not move it once it's in use. That's very, very dangerous. Make sure your propane tank is as far away from the burner as your manufacturer's gas hose will allow it. Keep that as far away as you possibly can. And follow the manufacturer's instructions to avoid overfilling. A lot of people, as you saw there, when they put the turkey in, it boils over and, of course, goes down to open flame, and that's what kind of ignites it. Most manufacturers will recommend that you actually place the turkey in the pot, fill it with water so you know the level at which to fill with oil. You take the water out, you pour it in a container, you measure the level, use the same amount of oil, then put it in. Make sure you're wearing proper protection for your skin, an apron, goggles, or they even make face masks, which I would recommend highly, or face shields, and gloves that go up to at least your elbows. Make sure that the turkey is completely thawed and as dry as possible to put it in. Again, water does not mix with the oil. And before lowering that turkey into the pot, turn off the gas burner so that there's no actual flame. Turn the gas burner off, put the turkey in, then reignite the burner. Never drop that turkey in the pot, and just be aware that oil splattering is pretty common, so expect it, be expecting it. Never leave the fryer unattended, that's common sense. Don't exceed an oil temperature of 350 degrees. That's what they typically recommend frying them at. So 350 degrees, don't let it go above that. Don't use stuffing inside or marinate with water-based marinades also, because water-based turkey is not good. Keep your children and pets away from the fryers at all times. If it can be done safely, remove the pot from the burner and place it on a level surface. Cover it and let it cool overnight before disposing after you're done cooking the turkey. If it can't be done safely, sometimes you're better off just leaving it on the stand, but because that stand can, tip easy, you got to be careful. Keep a Class K fire extinguisher nearby in the event of a fire, or other grease-rated fire extinguishers. ABC fire extinguisher multi-purpose are okay, but just make sure you have a big one, and make sure you know how to use them. And never use water to extinguish a grease fire. You saw the firefighter pour the grease into that, and there was no active fire at that time, but you can Google it or YouTube them, and you'll see countless examples of people throwing water on fire and just explosions happening from it. So be very careful with that. And finally, don't hesitate to call us. Don't hesitate to call 911, okay? That's all that I had for you this evening.
Commissioner Brandon Marty, sorry.
You spent 10 minutes telling us how to cook a turkey. What happened to good old days? You just throw that sucker in the oven.
I know, but it's become so popular
this thing
to
comes with a
fry
lot
'em.
of directions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
People do it all the
You
time.
gotta be
It tastes
careful.
really good.
It's awesome. Very good.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. You all have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Next is the consent agenda. Do we have any pulls?
Move the agenda.
I have an ordinance to read.
Okay.
Item 14, An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, repealing Article 2 entitled Requirements for City Employment, Division 1 generally, Section 2-27, Disqualifications for Employment of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date. It's the first reading of 2 readings of this ordinance.
Okay.
I did make a motion. Did we get a second?
Yeah, second.
Got a second.
You got to approve that one first and then?
No, that's all part of it.
Okay, that's all a part of it. Okay, we have a second. Call the roll?
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
8.1, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, awarding a contract to Custom Controls Technology, Inc. for a supervisory control and data acquisition SCADA system, RFP number 17-002, for city pump stations in an amount not to exceed $257,714.88, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Do we have any discussion?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next are called public hearings. Anybody that's going to address the city commission on the following items, other than attorneys don't have to be sworn in, but anybody's going to speak, these are public hearings. They're called quasi-judicial hearings, meaning they're kind of like small court hearings, excuse me, for the city commission. So anybody's going to speak today on an application for the property to be rezoned north of Sterling Road, south of Southwest First Street, or the BCD Dania Oaks property, or the development agreement for Dania Life. Anybody who's going to speak, including city staff, if I can ask you to please stand up for a second to be sworn in. Anybody who might speak other than lawyers. Lawyers don't get sworn in because they're not testifying. They represent clients. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give with the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. Please be seated. The first item is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the request made by Dennis Mealy, Esquire, Greenspoon Martyr, PA, agent for the property owners, Sunshine REO 11 LLC and CF&A Hill Family Limited, to rezone property generally located north of Sterling Road, south of Southwest First Street, east of Southwest 11th Avenue, and west of Fippen Road in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, changing the current zoning classification of the property from Neighborhood Residential NBHD-RES District to General Industrial District IG, application number RZ 3417, subject to certain restrictions, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and further providing for an effective date. It's the first reading of this ordinance.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Corinne LaJoy, Planning and Zoning Manager. This application is for rezoning of property. It is first reading. The property is currently zoned neighborhood residential, and the applicant's asking to rezone the property to general industrial. It is a property located in our regional activity center. There are no current violations on the property, and the item was duly advertised as per the city's regulations. The property in question to be rezoned is approximately 1.24 acres in size. It's located south of Southwest First Street. It's currently vacant. Surrounding the property is multifamily to the north and to the east. To the west is warehouse, and to the south is vacant lot, and this is the aerial photo. So you can see the property in yellow is the one that's requesting the rezoning. The entire site we outlined in red because it is part of a larger development project that will be coming before you at a later time with the site plan. This is just kind of one component of it, but in order to go forward with their proposed design, they need to rezone those properties in yellow. So they are requesting to change the zoning to IG, which is general industrial. And according to the applicant's justification statement, they would like to rezone it to allow self-storage facility at that location. The applicant has volunteered to establish a declaration of restricted covenants that would limit the use on the property at that location. So through this declaration of restricted covenants, they are voluntarily restricting themselves to fewer uses than the IG district allows. And I'll go to that slide in a moment, but I wanted to also mention that the applicant had met with the residents, the neighboring property owners, in June, July, and twice in July. So this is the list of restricted covenants that the applicant is volunteering to be restricted by. So this is fewer uses than what the IG zoning district would allow. So they're voluntarily restricting themselves. This will be as part of the ordinance for the rezoning. It will be put in Broward County public records. So any future property owners would be restricted to this use, to these uses as well. And just briefly to show you quickly, even though the site plan is not a question today, the applicant is proposing to develop the entire property that was shown in red. But to yellow is the part that's being rezoned, and that's the part that is currently being identified as self-storage. The rezonings are identified in the land development regulations. There are criteria by which they're supposed to make your decisions. They're identified in the staff report. The applicant has also provided a written justification statement identifying how their requests are consistent with these criteria. Because it's a rezoning, it does require 2 public hearings, so this is only first reading tonight, you will hear it again. In addition to the rezoning request, as I kind of briefly discussed with the site plan, there are additional applications that are being submitted or that have been submitted and are currently going through the Development Review Committee review. That includes the site plan. I believe there's a plat and variance as well, but those will be coming forward at a later date. The City Commission did have some previous interactions where this application was continued or withdrawn in previous dates. The Planning and Zoning Board also heard this item on May 17th, but they failed to make a recommendation of approval. Staff's recommending approval of the project, and I know the applicant's here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Would you like to come up and speak? Oh, if needed. Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this item? Okay. You want to speak? No, he's here. He said he's here to answer questions.
Only.
If you have questions, if anyone speaks for or against this, I guess if this is the applicant and he can answer your questions if you had it. Nope. No one? Okay.
Motion to approve.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Commissioner Savino. Commissioner Savino?
Yeah, can you put up slide number 5 for me, please? The change in the, I know what they want to do is put the warehouses on there, which is not an issue with me. As long, I think the mayor has also talked to the residents and so on. And there's not a problem with all that. With the restricted conveyance on there, some of the things that come into to question on the IG rezoning is that just don't want to have something go wrong on this project and not put the warehouses up. The next thing you know, we have a power plant sitting over there. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands what the restricted conveyance that are for. You know, they've been very honorable in everything they said they're going to build. I just feel that I want to make sure that everybody understands that when we change that zoning to IG, as long as those conveyance come into play, and if anything else needs to be brought up on those, that would be the time to do it between now and the next reading, because I just don't want to have something go wrong over there, then the commission look bad at that point. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandimart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you cut the lights on, please? I guess she's gonna.
9-2, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the request by BCD Dania Oaks LLC to rezone property located at 5501 and 5525 Southwest 40th Avenue in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy of which is attached to the ordinance, changing the zoning classification of the property from single-family 6,000 residential district, RS 6000, to planned residential development district, PRD1, subject to certain restrictions, and providing for the allocation of 22 residential flex units, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date. This is the first of 2 readings of this ordinance.
Good evening, Corinne LaJoy, Planning and Zoning Manager. This is another rezoning request, but in addition to the rezoning, they're also asking for assignment of flex units at the same time. This property is located on Southwest 40th Avenue, and it is first reading. So currently, the existing zoning on the property is RS 6000, which is single family. The land use designation is low 5 residential. There are no violations on the property, and the item was duly advertised according to city regulations. The property itself is approximately 1.5 net acres. It is located south of Southwest 54th Court and west of Southwest 40th Avenue. There are 2 existing single-family homes on the property today. So it's kind of like a twofold request. The first is to rezone the property from residential, a single-family residential, to the planned residential district. And the second is for the assignment of flex. And they're asking for the assignment of 22 flex units on the property, and this is in addition to 14 flex units that were previously assigned to the northern portion of the property. So this is the property itself. The part that the rezoning and the flex are applicable to the south properties, which are in yellow on the screen. The north properties, I'll go through it, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, was previously approved for a site plan, and assignment of flex was issued on the northern properties. But ultimately, the applicant wants to combine all the properties in red, kind of similar with the other one. The red is the outline of the overall development site. They do have additional applications in that are being reviewed for plat, variance, and the site plan. And ultimately, what they're requesting is 61 townhomes and 1 clubhouse. So the rezoning application is to rezone the 1.5 acres. It will ultimately be combined with the property to the north, which is approximately 2.3 acres. And they ultimately are proposing to construct 61 townhomes. Currently, the property is single-family zoned. The applicant's requesting to rezone the entire property to PRD1, so the entire area in red will have the same zoning district. The Land Development Code does identify criteria by which the rezonings are to meet in order for a property to be rezoned, and the applicants provided a written justification statement identifying how their requests are consistent with these criteria identified in our code. In addition, because this zoning district is a little bit different, it's a planned residential zoning district, and so there's an additional review that's required by the City Commission regarding kind of the site plan components. We'll get more into that as the site plan gets presented to you, but it talks a lot about the design and the layout of the site itself, but we'll look at that with the site plan. The applicants also identified how they're consistent with these criteria that are identified in the code as well, and that's in the application packet. This is, it's not really a site plan, it's the photometric plan, but it's the only drawing that has both the north and the south pieced together in one drawing, so that's the one I used. And this shows the layout. If you can see, these rectangles are the townhomes. The clubhouse is up here. There's an entryway here. This is the driveway. And there's an exit as well. So the 40th Avenue is to the east of this property. The next application is for the allocation of flex. If approved, the ultimate density of this project would be 12 units per acre. September 8th of 2015, the City Commission did approve a rezoning site plan and flex units for the northern portion of the property, which assigned 14 flex units at that time. Since then, the applicants purchased property to the south, and now he wants to combine it for a unified development site. The Planning and Zoning Board requested that the applicant meet with the residents, the neighboring, the adjacent neighbors, because they did come out and they expressed a lot of concerns. The applicant has met with them 3 separate occasions. The city engineer, now, I have this as an update because in the staff report at the time, the city engineer hadn't provided his response to the traffic study, but he has since done that. He's reviewed the traffic study and favorably signed off on the project. The city has received multiple letters, emails of objection to the project. Most of those are in your package that you have tonight in the backup, so we wanted to make you aware of that. And as I stated before, in 2015, the City Commission did approve the site plan on the northern portion of the property with those 14 flex units. The Planning and Zoning Board heard this item October 18th, where an approval motion failed at that time. They also heard it previously, but that's when they went back and asked the applicant to meet with the residents, and they did so. And staff's recommending approval of this rezoning application in flex. And I know the applicant's here to answer any questions you may have.
Good evening. I'm Alicia Lewis. My
Good
address
evening.
is 200 East Broward Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. And I may go through the very first slides quickly because they are reiterating what Ms. LaJoy explained about the site and the proposed development. So this is just a rendering of the entryway of the site. So our proposed development is actually 60 units, and we are requesting a reduction in the flex units that are shown in your staff report. We're actually requesting 21 flex units because we've reduced the overall development from 61 units to 60 units to avoid a variance that we were previously going to request with the site plan. So just to correct the record, we're requesting 21 flex units and 60 units total. And again, this is the entire site. But as Corinne stated, it actually is two different parcels. There's the north parcel, and then there's the southern parcel. So on this slide, it's highlighted in red, the north parcel. Again, that parcel was already previously rezoned, and flex units were already allocated to that parcel in 2015. That was already approved by the commission, and it allows for 25 units on that northern parcel. My client has now purchased the southern parcel, and they're requesting to basically match what they were able to do. It's slightly more dense than what the northern parcel is allowed, but it's slightly larger than the northern parcel. And so we're requesting, again, today we're requesting a rezoning to PRD1, which would make it consistent with the northern parcel, and we're requesting the allocation of flex units to complete the development and allow 60 units total in this townhome development. This is our proposed site plan, and it's for 60 units. And again, we had several meetings with the community, and they did express their concern about the density, and we were able to reduce at least one unit just basically by removing the request for a variance. These were the actual dates of all the 3 community meetings that were held. I personally attended all 3 of those meetings, June 27th, and these are the number of notices that were sent consistently each time, and that's within a 400-foot radius of the property. So we duly noticed all of the surrounding neighbors. 217 notices were consistently sent at each meeting, and 20, 15, and 5 at the very last meeting actually attended and signed in. And we have the sign-in sheets that we can provide to staff to support those numbers. The residents expressed concerns about traffic, and they expressed concerns as well about multifamily in this area. So these are somewhat difficult to read, and I actually have the response to our traffic study that I'd like to provide to you, because I'm not sure if that was in the packet. So I'll provide that to the city clerk. But the city's traffic engineer, after looking at our traffic study, confirmed that we do meet the required level of service, and the level of service is D. So level of service D is the threshold. So if we exceeded the level of service D, then we would be, exceeding the threshold for traffic in the city. In writing, you have from what is being distributed, that we do not exceed that threshold. And these 2 charts show the line in red at the very top shows where level of service D is, and you can see that we significantly are not at a level of service D, even at the peak hour times. So the max peak hour at 5 p.m. would have 1,140 cars. At a level of service D, that's 1,330 cars. That's the closest that we can possibly even come to a level of service D on that roadway, and we don't come near it at all.
Question. Currently, what is that road service?
The road, I believe, is currently at a level of service C.
Okay.
But we do not exceed the threshold. And we actually would only increase traffic by 3% of the overall counts that are shown. So in that report, it reflects that as well. And again, this is looking at Southwest 40th. One of the neighbors spoke earlier during the public comment about her concerns along Southwest 40th, and this study was actually done twice. So before the Planning and Zoning Board, the study was done. However, your traffic engineer had not had adequate time to review it and to give his comments. And so the motion that was made at the Planning and Zoning Board was to approve it subject to receiving those comments from the city's traffic engineer. Unfortunately, they weren't there at the time, they weren't available, and the Planning and Zoning Board did not recommend approval for that reason, because that was the actual motion that was on the floor. We also explained to the neighbors the different traffic information that I just described, And our traffic engineer, Tom Hall, actually attended the meeting as well to answer questions. We talked about proposed traffic calming measures. Some of the neighbors were amenable to those discussions, and others, just said they weren't going to support the project regardless. And this next slide that I'm showing is the other multifamily developments in the area. It's somewhat difficult to read, but we identified 8 other multifamily developments within the area. And it's something that's already been going on in the area. And as Dania Beach continues to grow and thrive, and it's going to continue to grow and thrive. And so we want to be good neighbors. We want to work with the city. We want to work with the neighbors. But again, you saw the attendance at the community meetings that were held. They were held at PJ Melly Park, and we had 20 maximum attendees. We've actually spoken to the neighbors. I'll go back to the photo. So if you look to the south, under the green line, we spoke to the neighbors there, Mr. and Mrs. McGowan, who lived to the south. Their only concern was that they wanted to make sure that we had adequate landscaping on our site to keep people from being able to basically look in their backyard. We've been working with them. They don't have any strong objections to the project other than making sure that we have a strong enough buffer between their home and our development. We've also had conversations with the neighbors to the north. So above that red line is the Lasco Properties. And then there's another neighbor, Mr. Goldberg. We've been working with him. He's attended every single one of those 3 meetings. And we've been working with all of those neighbors, especially those who are directly affected as adjacent neighbors to the proposed development. So again, we've worked really hard to come to you with a project that we've vetted and we've had conversations with neighbors. But all we can do is send notices. We can't require people to actually attend the meeting. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many of the residents in this area are renters versus homeowners? Because I know this area really well, and there are a lot of apartment complexes that are there. And so I want to see out of, how many, was it 217, how many of those are homeowners that pay
versus renters.
taxes here?
I can provide, I can look and see if I have that information from what was sent, but I don't know if I'll be able to distinguish directly who is a renter, because it's going to be sent through the property appraiser's website, and so whatever address is registered to the property appraiser's site is where it would go. So
Okay.
I can try to find out that information.
Okay, Commissioner Salvino?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have quite a few concerns on this project, and I'm not sure how the homeowners that are here are for or against it. I travel that road frequently.
Yeah.
Number one, that road is in horrible shape. It's been in horrible shape since the county went through there and put the water main through there. I haven't been out there in a month or so. I don't know, have they repaved that whole road? Is it completely done? No, it is completely done.
They have
It's only
They haven't repaved it completely.
Yeah, it has not. Yeah, but it just still looks raggedy and bumpy and everything else, right? So there's the road that's out there is raggedy. It's not well kept. It needs a lot of work on it. It needs a lot of cleaning up on both sides of the street because it is an older residential area that has a lot of oak trees on it. First of all, I'm for projects. I'm all, and I'm ready to work something out where everybody gets a happy. Well, most everybody's going to get a happy feeling this, but I think there's a lot of, and some of the renderings or whatever you're showing up here don't really highlight to everybody to understand the difference in the project or the question the mayor asked you. Which ones are residential? Which ones are rentals? I think you should come back with more of that. I think you need to do a better job with it, really, to present it to the commission and to maybe the public so they can understand what you're trying to propose. I understand what you're saying, but you're saying the more people are coming. Yeah, we know more people are coming, but you're not telling us what we have out there. You're not telling us what's in the area. Then the buffer areas off of 40th Avenue. I think it's a big concern. If that project goes in, we need to make sure that the roads are, well maintained and maybe a little bit better fixed up. I think that the person that brought up earlier about Lucky Street, maybe we can work something about that. Maybe we work out something with buffer zones because there is, I think there are 3 schools on that street. And, there's a lot to work on. I think if you guys worked a little harder at preparing this and having something up there to accommodate the street, the speed zones, the luxury, I think that most of these people, I'd be more in favor of the project at that point.
Completely understood. And we did have conversations. Actually, the second community meeting, the focus was solely on traffic, and our traffic engineer, Tom Hall, attended that meeting, and he talked about the proposed improvements that are already in progress without our project coming along or not.
Do you know what those improvements are, though?
Tom Hall is here. He can speak directly to all of those improvements, but We did address those with the community, with 10 people that attended that meeting. And we did actually request if there were any additional traffic calming measures. And so there were some residents who had concerns about traffic calming because they thought, okay, there are people, the traffic is bad, why would we want to slow down traffic? Then other residents had concerns saying, well, we do need to slow down traffic because of speed. So we really came to no actual conclusion as to what the residents want outside of what was already being planned. I'll let Tom speak to what's currently being planned.
Hi, Tom Hall of Thomas A. Hall Incorporated, transportation planners and traffic engineers. Regards to what the MPO has proposed, and that's, I think, what you're referring to, Commissioner Salvino, is there's a project to improve the pedestrian access along the roadway. They're going to put in new sidewalks and make some other a bicycle lane improvement there along the roadway. However, in terms of vehicular traffic, they're not really proposing anything. It's just a road with bike paths and sidewalks. Those improvements are good improvements. I'm not trying to knock them, but they don't change the traffic operations on the roadway. What we recommended as a result of the study that we did, and I should back up and say that at that meeting that Alicia mentioned, the residents said that the traffic is very high here and nobody really knew the numbers. And so we collected traffic counts along Southwest 40th, along 54th Court, and along 56th, which kind of bracket the segment where we're concerned. And we've actually counted Southwest 40th twice because some residents were concerned that our original count was affected by everybody getting ready for Hurricane Irma and all of that. So we went and counted it again, and actually the numbers went down slightly. It was interesting. So, what we recommended as a result of that analysis was that some traffic calming should be put in along the roadway there, and proposed some as mitigation for this project, as a matter of fact. Since that time, the MPO has come back and presented their recommendations to the community, and I was at that meeting as well. And the things that they're recommending would just improve the capacity of the road. In other words, it could push more traffic through. And my understanding from the residents was they were not looking to push more traffic through. They were trying to reduce the speeds because people are, speeding there right now. The speed limit is 30, and the 85th percentile is more like 36, 37 miles per hour. So people are speeding along the roadway. There's a lot of traffic there relative to the fact that it's a two-lane road. And so what we had recommended was some traffic calming to bring the speeds down and to, as the term says, calm the traffic so that it's maintaining the desired speed limit of 30 miles per hour, and also separating both visually and factually the vehicular traffic from the bicycle and pedestrian traffic by actually putting landscaping against the roadway. That's part of the traffic calming, is if you have shrubbery along the roadway, say 30 inches high, no more, and it's right up against the road, it slows people down, and that would be between the vehicular traffic and then the pedestrian and bicycle traffic. So those were recommendations that we made, and in fact, the developer of this, the applicant for this project, has agreed to those kind of traffic calming improvements in the area in which we are affecting the roadway.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I wanted to, I'm the representative on the MPO, so just last Thursday, Mark can speak to that too, that there is, it's a project-ready list, and it's ready to go with sidewalks and street improvements and bike paths and landscaping. So in the overall order of things, which would be done first, the MPO project on 40th, or after if we approve the zoning, the construction wouldn't start for at least another year and a half. Is that correct? Yes. And the road improvements would come first? Is that right?
Well, Mark LaFerrier, Community Development. The project that the MPO has funded and the DOT is designing and constructing is a roadway project that adds a new roadway bed, sidewalks and bike lanes, pavement markings and signage. That won't occur for another 2.5 to 3 years. They're in the design phase now. They've got about 8 to 9 months of design, then they permit, and then they start construction. It should be done in about 2.5 years. The timing on construction of this project, I'd have to ask the developer about that. Probably
What time?
the timing of your,
It's the same answer we hear.
he wants to move as quickly as possible.
You're right.
So,
I have
but one of the things that, just to sort of augment what Mr. Hall said is, at the community meeting, the MPO for their project said that if there is a contribution from the development community or from the city to do traffic calming, they could build that into the design of the project, permit it, and construct it.
No.
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean it would expedite the construction of the roadway, but it means that traffic calming could be incorporated. It isn't something we'd have to do later to permit and add at our expense.
So would that be kind of similar to what we did on Southeast Fifth Avenue when we incorporated the plan into the stop sign issue and
well, that
did
was
overall
before my
traffic
time.
calming with some chicanes and
Four-way stops.
four-way stop signs and more enforcement of the speed limit?
Yes.
So all those things can be done?
Yeah.
Because we have schools over there too, so it's a similar situation. It's a 1 mile strip from Sheridan to Dania Beach Boulevard. It's exactly just a little over a mile. How long is 40th Avenue from Griffin to Sterling?
2 miles.
It's got to be more than, it's got to be a little more than a
About
mile.
2 miles.
Yeah, it's
About two.
definitely
Yeah.
from. Okay.
You know, has everyone seen the MPO plan? Does anyone know what it's about and how it's implemented? Because it is on the table. It's
Oh, yeah.
how many millions of dollars did they allocate for that?
I don't recall the number, but it's a funded project.
Yeah,
It's
we
in
can
their
find
design
out.
phase now. It's gone beyond preliminary and beyond funding. So it's
Just on the agenda last
Yeah.
Thursday, so.
About 2
Does
years
anyone
away.
think that they would like some additional explanation on what the MPO has to offer? Can I ask that question?
Well, you're going to get a bunch of people that's going to come up here. We have like 20 pages here for them to speak.
Okay, I didn't know that, so, excuse me.
Just one quick question, Mayor.
Okay.
On the road that, when you, I know the MPO, but you're talking about the bike lanes and the sidewalks and so on. The roadway belongs to the county out there, even though
That's
it's in the
correct.
city of Dania Beach?
That's correct.
So when all this is implemented, that's going to happen whether or not the project goes or not. But
That's right.
The thing is are the roadways going to be done at the same time? Do you know that? What that time frame is on the road?
It's about 2 years away.
The road and the whole project, the
The
road
new
is
road,
included in the MPO?
new road's about 2 years
Okay,
away.
I thought you said the road was not included. Okay, so in other words, if it's done that way in 2 years' time, it could change, we would be able to implement the road calming devices at the same time.
Actually, if the developer wants to contribute money to the city, we would contribute that money to the state. They would build those improvements when they.
Do you want to
when they
contribute
do the
money
road.
to the calming devices?
They agreed.
Okay.
Yes, we agreed to do that. We just never came
Make
to
it
a
loud.
conclusion with the residents as to what they, some were for, some were.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just to add something, Joel Berry for the developer.
Name and address for
Yes.
the record, please.
Joel Berry, 20900 Northeast 30th Avenue, 33180. Just to answer about the renters or the owner, based on the census, last census, and assuming that we're on the 3 mile radius, it's a mainly owner-occupied area, and it's about 70 to 30%, 70 owners and 30% tenants. And our project is not to be a rental community, it's to be an ownership community, so that's what we're projecting right now.
Thank you. I'm going to call those. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. Steve Goldberg. Good evening.
My name is Steve Goldberg, 4010 Southwest 54th Court. I'm the second corner house in on 54th Court and so forth. I'm not opposed to their change of use or to their density. What I'm opposed to is they keep talking about calming the traffic down. The problem is that too many people are going to be entering and exiting on 40th. Right now, for me to leave my home to go on 40th, either go to Sterling, it's impossible. You got to wait for the light change. God forbid it's during school or go to work. You never get to work. Same thing going down towards Griffin. You're forced down Griffin. Now with Waze and all these type of apps that you have on your phone, once that Hard Rock gets built, everybody's getting forced down 40. as an alternate route to bypass that particular, 441. And, there's just too many cars. Cars are not, they say they're speeding, but if you looked at that traffic report, they did it on a Tuesday, which is the least traveled day of the year, and so forth. That's why it was picked on that day. And the traffic speeds were not necessarily high on an average. It's the amount of density entering towards the end of the blocks on Sterling and so forth to make the turns. I leave to go to the dojo here that I'm a part of, right next to City Hall with Sensei Napton. You can't leave. You have to leave 30 minutes just to wait for the streets to cycle, just to go ahead and make that turn to get onto Sterling Road. And with the amount of people that are going to be into this project, something needs to be done to alleviate the 40th Avenue congestion. It's not the speed, it's not the calming. You had calming devices, people will never be able to get on and off that street. And then you go ahead with Mannheim. Now we have every day, I just sit back by my pool and I watch car carrier after car carrier. The police departments have come and tried to ticket the car carriers. There's 2 signs, no trucks allowed, and there's still car carriers. They're coming off of the highways to go this way to make a right to get into Mannheim. It's not getting better, and now with the Hard Rock changing the way it's doing its operation, it's going to get worse, 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 because everybody follows Waze and these type of apps to go up and down these roads. I'm not opposed to having this project being built. It'd probably be an asset, if it's residential and not to have more residents in the community would be nice, and to have residents. It's just the fact of that amount of density on 40th. There's not a week that goes by that we don't see a kid diving off the road. I've sent emails plenty to the city taking pictures. There's no sidewalks on either side of my street. Kids are walking in the street constantly, jumping out of the way. I personally got run over, had to have surgery on my knee because of cars, doing so. I removed my fence to go back a little bit because it was just crazy. It's just nuts on 54th. Nobody's addressing 54th. To where, the traffic is. Everybody's sidestepping that street. I mean, Mayor Marco, you go ahead, Mr. Savino, and you go down that street, and you try to make a right or left at the end of Sterling. You're going to wait for that light to change constantly, and then there's that school sitting there. It's getting worse. The school's getting more dense. You have the private school, the Montessori school, sitting right there, and I'm telling you, there's not a day that goes by, there's not a month that goes by that there's not a traffic accident on that particular corner. I'm in the medical field. I have neurosurgical offices. I go out to render aid. My wife comes out to render aid. We've already had cars barreling through, Shady Ridge's wall several times. That's the problem. Not density, but that street itself. You want to calm it down. There's really no need to calm it down. You're slowing it down, which is going to create even a more problem, because people are going to come out of their development, go this way, and they're going to want to go down to get onto the turnpike and make a left down 54th. And then they race down 54th to go ahead to the end so they can get onto their job. That's
Thank you.
Okay?
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Robert Banks. Please state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
831 Southwest 56th Street, Dania Beach. I agree with everything that's been said about traffic, and I just want to clarify. I don't understand the numbers that are being requested. I understand that on the property, both properties, the north parcel that's already entitled, and the south property that we're talking about today, there's currently 4 housing units, 4. The applicant is asking to turn 4 to 60, an increase of 56 units. The master plan, which was developed in the 1970s with thousands of man-hours of work by volunteers, which master planned the whole county, calls for 5 residential units per acre. On these 2 parcels, that would total 21. 21 versus the 60 they're asking. My biggest concern, this project is approved, is we're facing the same applications going south all the way to Sterling Road, and we may be looking at 400 units. You've heard about the road. The road's impossible already, and it's not wide enough unless you take land from people by eminent domain to do all the things that need to be done. I don't have, I'm sorry, actually, that this multifamily zoning was approved to begin with on the north parcel, because there is no multifamily zoning south of Lucky Street. All the things the applicant's referring to in terms of multifamily were done in the 70s, before there was a master plan, and they're all north of Lucky Street. North of Lucky Street's a different neighborhood than south of Lucky Street. And this application would be, or this property would be the first multifamily south of Lucky Street. So I am obviously not in favor.
Thank you. Elizabeth, donate? Donate. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Elizabeth Donate, 5631 Southwest 40th Avenue, Dania Beach. And my home is south of Lucky Street. And Mr. Bletchner referenced the traffic on I-95. Well, we who live on the south end of Southwest 40th Avenue feel like we've become an alternate route to I-95. It took me 10 minutes to exit my driveway to come to this meeting. Not only is the traffic intense, nobody pays any attention to the speed limit. If you do the speed limit, they'll pass you. So I am obviously opposed to any increased density or anything that would increase the vehicular traffic on the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Fawley. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Kathy Frawley. I live at 3840 Southwest 56th Street, and I've lived there for 25 years. I'm not against development, but I somewhat object to the underhanded manner, the 2015 approval of 25. We never got a single notice about this. I live, 400 feet east of 40th Avenue. I mean, there's nobody 400 feet from these properties, maybe one or two residents. We got no public notice. There was a poorly made sign there, and because of some very alert neighbors, we were made aware of this earlier time. So basically, I just want to complain about that. They need to change, the notification circumference. Such big surprise, and no one knew a thing about 2015. So I was against it, and I would hope to leave that parcel the way it is.
Thank you. Timothy Frawley. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Tim Frawley, 3840 Southwest 56th Street, Dania Beach, 33312. These are I live in a single-family home on a cul-de-sac of 12 homes adjacent to the parcel that you're going to be rezoning here. I agree with all the previous speakers talking about the density of traffic. It's like trying to get out of a football game some days during the peak times. There's additional hazards there because young children walk on both sides of the street going to and from school every morning. My wife and I walk on that road to get to another street so we can take a walk in the morning. You're literally an arm's length away from traffic speeding by you. And as somebody said, if you're going 30 miles an hour, which is a speed limit, they will pass you if you're going that slow on that road. I was out there one morning, a Hollywood policeman, I believe it was setting a speed trap right at the end of our cul-de-sac. And I said hello to him. I came back from our walk, and he said, "You just missed one. I got one going 61 on that road today." That's not unusual. I am against the rezoning. Mr. Banks talked about the units per acre. It was 5 per acre It's gone to 12 per acre, and with the additional southern parcel, that would be 15 units per acre, if you look at the math on that. So I'm against this, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Grady Drake.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the
Good evening.
commission and staff. This is Grady Drake, 3901 Shady Ridge Road, Dania Beach. I really appreciate this opportunity to address the commission. I have 3 points to raise about the rezoning of Southwest 40th Avenue. First, in the year 2000 annexation election, many of my neighbors and I went door to door, urging residents in Area C to vote for Dania Beach over Hollywood for reasons too numerous to mention, and I think you would agree with me. Essentially, it was a nicer place in which to live. Fortunately, we prevailed. We wanted to live in Dania Beach, a municipality, but a small town ambulance. Secondly, I want to endorse the sayings that many of my previous speakers have spoken about the security, the traffic safety, and environmental concerns. 3, Dania Beach takes pride in being the first city in Broward County. You each are now in a position, in my opinion, to make Dania Beach Broward County's most desirable residential single-family suburb in this county. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Megan Emery. Please state your name and address for the record.
Megan Emery, 3839 Southwest 56th Street. A couple of years ago, my husband and I purchased a single-family home on a single-family street in a single-family neighborhood. We chose that home in that neighborhood because that's what we wanted to live in, something calmer, something quiet. If we had wanted something with more activity, variety, action, crowdedness, we would have looked elsewhere. In my mind, when I walk outside my door, I see other single-family homes. Get to the end of the street, which, if this is 40th, we go into it. I see single-family homes. Go down a couple blocks, single-family homes. We're in that area that's lovely, covered by the trees. And these other, the talk about we have multifamily home, there are multifamily areas in this area. I don't see it that way. I don't think that these townhomes belong among our single-family homes. You have a question? No, just listening. Okay, thank you.
That's our regular.
And if you notice the shape of the properties combined, the southernmost makes an L shape, and that abuts up to the McGowan's property. They're not here tonight, and I have not been asked to speak for them, but I don't have the same opinion as the developer's attorney that they're only concerned about having some extra landscaping. That's not what I've heard them say. I didn't think that they were in favor of having all these townhomes next to them. I believe he's lived there for 25 years on a single-family property, single-family home, and now he will be, if this goes through, he'll have 61 neighbors on 2 sides of him. I don't think that's right. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Majority Hodges. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, I'm Marjorie Hodges.
I'm sorry.
My husband Perry and I have lived at 3920
Could you state your-
Southwest 56th Street for 34 years. Where the development is going to be adjacent, our first neighbors there were the outlaw motorcycle gang. But they never bothered us. Just as an aside, I did send an email to all of the commissioners yesterday. I hope you have had the time to take a look at that. It did have some pictures attached. And that addresses my major concern, which is the traffic safety. I did not go to those meetings in the summer because I don't think anything would convince me to feel differently. The pictures I included were where a car crashed through my next door neighbor's fence this summer at 6 o'clock in the evening, not during the school time. This was summer vacation. My neighbor gave me permission to use those pictures. The car took down her fence on two sides. It crossed the yard where her children and her dog often play. You can see that in the pictures. Traffic safety is important. It's not just the inconvenience of the traffic. It's not just the fact that some afternoons, if I want to go south, I have to turn right and go north, travel through Hollywood, down one of those other streets to go south. But it's the danger to vehicle traffic and to pedestrian traffic that is a great, great concern. I hope you will give that serious consideration. I thank you for listening to all of our input tonight.
Okay, the next person to speak is Pete Shore.
Hi, my name is Pete Shaw. I live at 3911 Shady Ridge Road, Dania Beach. Hoping Mayor would be back.
She will be momentarily.
I know. Well, of course, she called me when she walked out, but that's fine. Tell me when I'm supposed to start.
Now.
Whenever you're ready,
Now.
sir. Is Kelly ready? Here.
Okay, start now. Good evening. Thanks for listening to our concerns. I really appreciate it. And Mayor James, you came to our house, talked to my wife, and we supported you and had a sign in our yard. So congratulations. I have lived at my address at Shady Ridge Road for 51 years. We are all here about the request for rezoning of the properties at 40th Avenue. Flexibility units, in my understanding, are units that allow higher density, which means more dwellings, more people, more cars, more noise, more pollution, more pedestrians, more traffic accidents. It's a negative impact for people who live around the area. Before it was 5 units per acre, now it's 12. They're looking to put in 60 units. We're against that. I'm against the density. Let them build on what they already have, which is already approved, in my opinion. So we're concerned as the residents that live around there. The other concern that I have is 40th Avenue. Right now, the city of Hollywood, have you seen what they've done? They've allowed Margaritaville. A 1,000-room hotel is going up. And right now, the area around 40th Avenue is going to really generate a lot of volume. 40th Avenue is the Oasis project that's supposed to make the neighborhood beautiful. Beautiful oak trees. We have a canopy over 40th Avenue. If you allow the 60 units, multiple units for rezoning, you'll have to put an entry and exit in there into the development, which will destroy the trees and the look it has today. The volume right now on 40th Avenue is huge, 6,000 cars per day. A study that was taken in 2016. It's a lot of cars. You know, I appreciate the safety concerns that are coming forth, and we look forward to that, but I'm against the project.
Thank you.
And last but not least, I urge you all to think about the negative impact of this rezoning and vote against it. So we have a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Joel Barry? Oh. Okay. David Julian? Correct. You had to leave? Okay. I don't know what this first, last name, Croissant? Yep, okay. Okay. David Sorg? I'm probably butchering your all names. Sorry.
David Sorg, 3920 Southwest 56th Court. And I don't have much more to add. I can only echo what my neighbors have said this evening. Agree with it. The only thing I'm concerned about in addition is with the improvement, sidewalks, bike paths, make it enjoyable for the kids to be out and so forth. And they talk about the traffic, the two just don't seem to be in sync. You're just inviting kids to be out, riding bikes close to the street. You've got hundreds of kids walking to Sterling Elementary, and it just seems to be a disaster.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Dennis Maroney, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dennis Maroney, 3951 Southwest 56th Court of Fort Lauderdale. And I've lived in my home for 20 years there. But I've been a resident of Dania Beach for over 50 years. I voted for many of you over those years. You know, if you look at the city slide number 8 and look at the density of it, it's just incredible. I mean, this is really going to alter the look of the south end of 40th Avenue. The north end, yes, does have developments of high density, but on our side, there's just single-family homes. Most of the lots on the east side of 40th have already been built. And if you look on the north side of 40th, it's ready for redevelopment. And now this project is coming in, and it is way over density. This is the nose of the camel getting under the tent. It is going to go from one lot to the next lot to the next lot, and like somebody had pointed out, I think it's like 400 units. And the road it was never going to be improved to the point where it could handle even the traffic that it's getting right now. You know, I've seen this in Florida over the 50 years that I've lived here. You know, there's vacant land, it gets developed, it's under a point of development, and then it becomes mature, property values go up, and then all of a sudden you start seeing changes like duplexes and then multifamily townhomes, high-rises. And before you know it, the neighborhoods are so chopped up that they really go right into decline. They go from development to a short maturity right into decline. And it seems to be the history in Florida. I mean, up north, they have mature communities that last hundreds of years, and here we can't seem to get past 20. And that's why I'm asking you, please, don't let this kind of development move any further south on 40th. If anything, density should be coming down, not going up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Steve Hardy? Please state your name and address for the record.
Name's Steve Hardy. I live at 5500 Woodland Lane. I've lived there for 32 years. I'm a realist. I know we can't stop this project completely. I went to all the commission meetings in Hollywood for the Maple Ridge development. We allowed them a higher density level if they did certain things. One of the things was a right turn only lane on the west exit entrance of Maple Ridge. Not a day goes by that I don't see somebody turning left there, and I've never seen anybody written. My suggestion is traffic control. I don't think plants on the side of the road are going to do a squat. I'd like to see some roundabouts put in where Maple Ridge exits, make them pay for it, since they're breaking the law constantly. And I went to the meeting in Mealy Park, the rendering and the exit for this new project they said was going to be right turn only. I foresee the same thing. In the rendering tonight, I didn't see a right turn only exit for the new project. So I don't know what happened to that. The traffic count, it's over capacity right now, like everybody said. And when the Hard Rock's finished, it's going to be worse. I wish they would do a traffic count on the nights that they have events at the Hard Rock. You'd be amazed. And not just going into, but leaving the Hard Rock. That's it. Can't stop it. It's going to happen. But plants on the road aren't going to control traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. David Steebles? Sorry.
Name's David Steeler. I live at 5501 Woodland. I agree with what everybody said about the traffic and the density. It's definitely an issue. My other concern is, as you guys have all driven down that street, the oak hammock. It's about the last oak hammock we have left. To cut out 3.5 acres of that, to throw in more townhomes, just seems criminal to me. So somebody needs to look at the beauty of the neighborhood and what it stands for before you just bulldoze it down and put up more townhomes. That's it.
Thank you. Oh, that's it. Anyone else to speak for or against this? Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. My name is Cindy Harris, 3910 Southwest 56th Street, Dania Beach. And one of the things I do want to mention, as one of my neighbors mentioned, is I did not go to any of the planning meetings because there is nothing they could show me about what is on the property that would make a difference for me. The traffic and the street congestion is first and foremost, and there was nothing they could say at any of those 3 meetings that would have convinced me otherwise. When they talk about a threshold of traffic, to reach a threshold is maximum. That doesn't allow for comfort and safety, in my opinion. In addition, my concern is they're offering to help beautify 40th Avenue, and pay for it might sway the position of Dania Beach in terms of it becomes a money-saving method in terms of making 40th Avenue different. I would be concerned with that. I am so against this project that I would have sat here for hours before if I had to wait to be able to speak. I think that adding trees, adding bushes along 40th Avenue, there's no room for it. There's a sidewalk. There's a very, very narrow street that I can tell you after the hurricane, when there was debris all up and down the sides of the road of 40th Avenue, the cars were having trouble navigating through. The issue of waiting for a stoplight to get to work, both at Sterling and Griffin, having to go north when you want to go south because you can't make a turn, it's real to those of us that live here. And if you've listened, many of the people that have spoken have talked about living in their home. I've lived there for 25 years. Many of my neighbors are speaking out as well. 25, 30, 40 years. We're paying significant taxes. The area is gorgeous. The oak trees, that's why we moved in there. And to think of destroying part of the property, part of the ambiance, it ruins the neighborhood. And it is one of the last areas of oak trees that exist, and I am asking you to please take into account what all of us are saying and to look at that it's not calming the traffic, it's the quantity of traffic, and nothing that you do if they're adding in units is going to decrease the amount of traffic on that road. It's simply going to increase it. I'm just asking you, thanking you for your time and asking you to please take into account what all of us are here saying as people that love where we live.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Good evening, Alicia Lewis again on behalf of the applicant. The applicant and I have both made a lot of notes based on the things that we've heard this evening. And one thing that consistently stuck out to the both of us is that there were multiple neighbors that said, regardless of what you were presenting during those 3 meetings, there was nothing you could do to change my mind. And I would like to challenge the neighbors that didn't attend these meetings to possibly attend an additional community meeting that we will have, and that we will make sure that we specifically notice every person that has come up here and given their name and address for the record, because as you've seen on other projects, the Stellar project on Sterling Road, we were able to take a group of neighbors who said, absolutely not in my backyard, and to be able to have conversations over a period of time that were able to accommodate some of their concerns. We've heard their concerns loud and clear. I could go through, the rezoning process and how some of the things that were stated weren't exactly how the process works. But I think it would be better done in a community meeting, and then we can come back to the commission with a fully vetted, as Commissioner Salvino requested, presentation, and also having had another conversation with the neighbors. Now, if they don't attend, there is nothing that we can do. I mean, if that's the stance, then there's really not much we can do. But I would hope that based on their concerns and their love for their neighborhood that they've lived in for decades, that they would at least be open to having a conversation to, one, fully understand the issues, and two, to make sure that there isn't a way for us to actually address these issues where we both leave with something that we can be happy with. So.
Thank you. Will you be willing to attend the meeting?
Could I just ask a question?
But no, you can't ask a question from there. That's okay. Would you be willing to attend the meeting? No. Well, we're gonna, okay. Well, is that all the comments you had, or do you want to hear from them?
I mean, I would love to speak with them.
Outside.
Okay.
Outside.
Take them outside.
No.
There's a second reading of this. We can't have all you guys back up here, but if a couple of you want to say something really fast, that will be okay if it's a question for the applicant. Is it a question for the applicant? Okay, okay. Is it a question for the applicant?
I attended the developer meeting, and we spoke about traffic. We spoke about all the things we spoke tonight. And then the next P&Z meeting, the developers and the attorneys had slides to counter all our concerns. So I felt that the developer meetings are nothing but brain picking of the residents to find out what our problems are, so that then when they come before the commission or P&Z, that's where we mention, okay, there's no multifamily. Next thing I know, Dennis Mealy comes up, he shows, oh no, there's all this multifamily. So the developer meetings, if you notice, the attendance went down, 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 down. Because basically, we're voicing our concerns, and we feel basically they're just brain picking.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to address anything else before we start discussion?
I would just say that was not our objective, has never been our objective for any community meeting, is to hear their concerns and to address their concerns. If they're not happy with how we've addressed their concerns, then, I mean, if you don't believe there's multifamily and we show you each location where it exists, it's not because we were trying to brain pick, just that we wanted to show that there are multifamily developments in the area. So.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Salvino?
Thank you, Mayor. Listening to everybody's concerns tonight on what's going on, let's take it in just a couple of minutes on what I can see. Number one problem seemed to be, well, besides, I guess, between density and traffic. Traffic is going to be there no matter what. It's going to happen whether they put the project in or not. It's going to be traffic because exactly of what is going on at the Hard Rock. I think some of the county or city's concerns should be to try to find alternate routes out of there to help the residents to begin with. I mean, they're already complaining about being backed up. I'm not going to get into length about that, but I am going to look into this further between the next second reading. The other thing is, too, is the MPO is putting that project in, again, whether you like it or not, I guess, is that the right word to say? It's been project with the sidewalks and the landscape and so on. I mean, that's something that's been planned for I guess, what, a couple of years, Bill? You've been going to the, so, you know, the thing is, the MPO is gonna put in the sidewalks and it's gonna put in all the landscaping of the new road, but the density, this is where I have a little issue with. You know, we've already approved it back in 2015 of the other units that are there, and I did notice it down the street. You know, maybe you should take a look at maybe building better looking houses on that bottom property. I know there's building 9 houses down there right near Sterling Road. Maybe instead of selling your townhouses for 3 or 4 or 500,000, build the houses and sell them for 750, 800. Put single family residents on the bottom half. Maybe they would consider that. You know, I mean, it's just a thought. I mean, maybe you might recover all of your money, but maybe most of it, and it might be a solution to both ends of it. I don't know what else to see, because I mean, as a commission, I know we've talked a little bit about overpopulating our city, which we are doing downtown, but that's more or less a downtown area. It's not a residential neighborhood out west. So that's just some things. But you know, tonight I'm gonna vote for the project because I want to get to the second reading and I want to see it. I'm gonna go out and look some more, but I will have a lot of comment. But you see where my intention is at this point. Okay.
Commissioner Brandon Marty.
I'm sorry. Sitting up here, what I saw is them extending an olive branch, asking you residents, would you come out and meet with us again and let's talk? I didn't hear anybody agree. So in reality, I think that the people that are here have their minds made up no matter what. No matter what. And to see that the count went 20, 20, and 5,
2010,
to me showed lack of interest. When you're really against a project, you go to those meetings. I would have been happier had I seen up there on the board 2020 and 80. I'm not finished. Please, all right? But when they extended that olive branch to give you another chance to tell them your concerns, I think if they did it 10 times, it's not going to change any of your minds. So I know where this seems to be going. And then when you start to read letters like, we don't want to live near, that kind of bothers me because I didn't want to live where I am because of things, and it still took place long after I became a commissioner. It still took place. This city's got to move ahead, and it will move ahead. The only thing I can ask of you is, why don't you agree again instead of being so solidly on the fact that you just don't want it no matter what? You want to see traffic? Huh? I live off of Dania Beach Boulevard. Do you want to know to get to Federal Highway where I got to go from 3rd Street? I got to go out to Dania Beach Boulevard, make a right-hand turn, make a U-turn, go back up to Federal Highway to go either north or south. So your problems aren't so special as anyone else's in the city when we change a zoning. I understand that. I get that. But progress will still go ahead. And with that MP thing that I didn't even realize about, that even makes it kind of worse. But I wish the Vice Mayor would speak on that. He tried to explain, he wanted to explain to you what he meant about it, if I'm not mistaken. But we didn't let him do that, and I think he really should have. But don't have a closed mind. Don't have a closed mind. Tell them what you don't like. Meet with them again. Because otherwise, I don't see this issue going anywhere. I like it when you say, all right, we'll give you another chance to convince us. But the fact that you love the trees, that doesn't move me. That you love a tree, it don't. I'm sorry. Because you see all these new hotels and all that are going up. That's for the good of the entire city of 30,000 people. That's right. Did you notice right down here on Dania Beach Boulevard, when even though this room was packed, what I'd say about 50 people, we still voted for twin towers of 14 stories. Where? On Dania Beach Boulevard. So I would, my heart feel, if you could just make a slight move to show us up here that you're willing to meet with them another time, since this has got to go to a second reading. That to me shows me that you're willing to try to work it out. But to say 20 people showed up, 20 people showed up, and then it dwindled down to 5 people showed up, if it was on my neighborhood, I'd drag all of Meadowbrook here. And that's exactly how I feel. Right now, I'd vote yes. That's why, only because I think that you're not trying to work with them. They gave out their notices. They had 3 meetings. And that's what we always yell about. When a builder comes up here and they haven't met with the people, forget about it. They're not getting nothing, not from this commissioner. But when they come up here and they say, we met 3 times, the amount of people dwindled down to 5, I say try and work it out. This just happened even by Tropical Acres. And they worked it out. Let me tell you, that was a hard one. And then it fell through anyway. So many of these things you say yes to, we say yes to, it falls through. It never happens. Either they don't get the money, they got the money to finish it. It's a big problem here. But we're going to do the best and what's right for the entire city.
Commissioner Grace, you can put your hand up.
Yes. In my neighborhood, I have lived in the same house for 45 years. And when we had an opportunity to have new development in my neighborhood, and they only wanted to put in warehouses, we packed not only City Hall, but we packed our community development meetings to the capacity to voice our concerns. And that's why we were able to get a quality project in our neighborhood, as in Dania Point, where we will have residential, we will have hotels, we will have a new shopping center, a new entertainment center, because we work collectively as a residential unit for our neighbors. The second part of it is the estates of Fort Lauderdale was very opposed to the project that was going to be in their neighborhood, but they sat down with the developers and they said, we don't want this, this is what we want, we will meet a happy medium, and they worked it out in their neighborhood. So we just approved a project before this one tonight on Sterling Road, where we were facing nothing but palm trees for the last umpteen years, I can't remember, but we're going to get a quality project in there. The neighborhood at that time disagreed with the developer 100%, but they sat down after they received the notices and they worked it out. And that's all we ask. We don't think that we make all of the right decisions here. We try to do the best to our knowledge to please everyone, but sometimes you got to meet us halfway, and that's why we're asking. And I'm definitely going to vote on the first reading for this project.
Vice Mayor.
Just because I've lived here for a long time too, like nearly 40 years in South Florida, and you've seen expansive growth all over the place. I mean, I remember when they built 595 and people thought there would never be anybody on it. So, you know, being in a league of cities and hearing what everybody's concerns are, I mean, there's 16 families moving to Broward County every day that need a home. We need new housing. We need new housing stock. There's a shortage of housing. And as far as the traffic concerns, I see traffic every day. I mean, I live in Southeast Dania off Southeast 5th Avenue. The traffic transiting between Sheridan and Dania Beach Boulevard to the casino and then to the stores and the hotels and the shuttle buses, I mean, and to the beach area. They go down Sheridan past my house to the beach, and I bought a house and, you know, I had to put in impact windows because the noise bothered me a little bit, but I just deal with it. And then in 2012, we bought a building on South Federal Highway, and we're 4 feet off Federal Highway, and sometimes I can't even cross the street. So you tell me about traffic, and I know about traffic. And as far as the lady who spoke about the debris, you couldn't see out over the debris. Well, none of us could see out over the debris. None of us. And it's a safety issue. It was for me, too.
Y'all can't talk to each other like that.
That's why we had public services to come and lower the piles and the debris. So all the concerns that you have are all what we all have. traffic and children and schools and sidewalks and bicycles and buses, those are all things consistent with living in an urban environment where we live. So I just wanted to voice my opinion. And, you know, what we're looking for with new development is quality development that can withstand the winds of a hurricane. Solar powered, underground utilities, impact windows, all those things that are important in sustainable building practices that we could be a model for in the future.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Okay. Commissioner Grace?
Thank you. I don't know whether everybody is up here.
I haven't said anything yet.
Because I'm going to make a motion right afterwards.
Okay. So I guess I can say my piece. I want to thank you all for voicing your opinions. I know I've received a number of emails, and it's not taken for granted. I have a little different of a stance sitting in this seat than my counterparts. And for me, being a part of community meetings before I was on the dais, being a part of community meetings now, conversations that I have with the residents, even after they pack a house, is they don't really return because they don't feel like their voice really matters. And it's very little trust in between residents and developers, and you can see that now. You know, you have residents that feel one way, you have developers that try to solve the issues, but then you have residents. For me, I don't see, I can see the amount of people that's in here meeting again with the developers, and they can come back and tell you the same thing, but I can guarantee you, from what I've heard, if they do not decrease the density or keep it the same, I mean, they're already approved to build whatever they're building. And then on this south section, they can still build single-family homes. I don't think that they're opposed to that because one half of it's already approved. I think they're opposed to adding more density there, and that's what I'm hearing. And I don't think another meeting, no matter if they say, okay, yes, okay, we're going to take your advice and have another meeting. If that's them extending an olive branch, they're going to come here and say the same exact thing. They do not want that in their neighborhood. And for me, I did this before with the COM project. I would not do it again. I couldn't put it on my conscience. You have a room full of homeowners that are here, and they don't want this project in their neighborhood. And so for me, I can't support it. We've supported a lot of different ones. If you want to talk about the Shady Oaks, cut down trees there. We've supported that, and things that we thought were going to go didn't go. So at the end of the day, our residents weren't satisfied. The COM project, they're trying to flip their property on us. If you talk about the Styles project, they didn't even have meetings with our residents and try to do anything to where they would be satisfied, and they're going to continue to build it. I mean, these people are going to build these places, and they're going to go home. And that's how I feel. And our residents that have been here, most of them have been here more than 20 years that came and spoke. And I just feel like for them to feel like they don't have a voice or their voice doesn't matter, that's why your meetings are poorly attended, because it's not because of you. It's because of what's been happening. We have so many different residential developments coming to Dania Beach. I don't know how many more we really need at one time before we even get the first ones here and seeing how we're going to do. I just feel like we are developing at an alarming rate, and it is alarming to me. And 40th Avenue is a problem. 40th Avenue has a lot of rental properties. I walked and knocked every single one of them, so I know. It's a lot of people that stay on 40th Avenue don't even know that they're in Dania Beach. And so there are a lot of kids. There are a lot of safety concerns, and I just see this being a domino. You bought this property, you're going to buy that property, you're going to buy that property, you're going to buy that property, and it's going to all end up that we're not going to have any uniqueness left in the beautification that we have created here in the city of Dania Beach that we already have. So with that.
Motion to approve.
You have a second?
Second.
Yes. Commissioner Grace has the motion to approve. Commissioner Brandamart asked for a second. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandamart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, we have another resolution.
9.3 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the proper city officials to execute an amended development agreement with Dania Live 1748 LLC for the development of the Dania Point project, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Good evening again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Mark LaFerrier, Community Development. This agenda item involves a...
You want to give them a chance to leave?
Okay.
I think they're leaving, so.
No. First step. I just don't like the sentence that I don't want to live in multiple homes. The hell out of here.
I'm getting hungry.
It's too late to eat.
I gotta eat something.
Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry, this agenda item involves a proposed amendment to a development agreement that the city and the developers of Dania Point entered into about a year ago. It's a development agreement that includes all of the off-site improvements that Dania Point will need to do in order to mitigate or to accommodate their future growth. They're back here for some amendments to that development agreement that was approved. The three amendments involve, number one, a revision to a requirement that would make them build all of the roadway improvements on Bryant and on Sterling Road before they got a CO. As it turns out, in order to do that, there's a building that's currently in the way of that construction. And when that building is relocated, they need to get the CO for that relocated building. Excuse me. So the amendment to the agreement would just simply say that they have to build all those roadway improvements before they build all of and CO all of the other buildings, but not including this one singular building on Sterling Road. The other one is kind of an issue with Broward County. It's just simply that they have different types of performance bond requirements now than what they did when the original agreement was approved by our commission. And then finally, the developer is requesting to revise a requirement that previously would have meant that the developer would have participated in the design of a new roadway bridge over West Dania Beach Boulevard over the C-10 canal. They're requesting to instead provide $250,000 worth of funds to the city for traffic calming and beautification of Northwest 1st Street. That summarizes the three changes to the agreement. All the other aspects of the agreement would stay the same. So I can answer any questions you might have. The developers are here tonight with their representative to clarify or answer any questions you might.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Make the motion to pass, Mayor.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action. Review and approve the commission meeting dates for 2018.
Did you look at them in your backup?
I didn't.
Wait. Wait. 10-1.
The only one I would suggest that you not have would be the one for December 25, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
There are no holidays that interfere with any of your other meetings next year, which is a miracle in itself. In November, after the election, the organization meeting will be held on a Monday, which is also the week of Thanksgiving, but you can't cancel that because that's in your charter. So you have to have that meeting.
When are you leaving?
April.
Louise?
Yes?
If something should pop up, though, when we, for some odd reason that we don't see, Obviously, there's
You,
nothing
yeah,
on there.
you always have the right to cancel any of your meetings, but for right now,
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, you know, obviously in the summertime you cancel meetings. But this is just, if we go by your schedule, this would be the schedule that we would use to plan for next year.
Are there any council meetings in the summer for next year?
25th.
Currently?
I don't cancel them. I mean, that's
No,
up to you guys.
Just the 25th.
No, I'm talking about summer.
Yeah,
You wanna,
yeah, we do, I mean, we have in the
Yes, sir.
past, but,
do you want to limit the time in the summer?
Sure.
we always do that
We
in
think
in July.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they always do.
July and
In July.
August. July and August will take one.
So we won't meet the first?
One meeting
or
in
the-
July and one in August. That's what we did this year.
You typically do that when the time comes. as
So
you get
July-
closer to the summer.
We don't have to.
Okay, so we don't have to do that today?
You don't have to do
Okay.
it today.
Okay, great.
So it'll be
Yes,
like
definitely.
July 24th and August.
Yeah, we're not gonna do it
14th.
today.
Make a motion, we approve this except for December 25th.
Thank you.
And we can always go back and address the ones in the summer. Yes.
Yes.
We're good.
You have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? No. The MLK activities.
Oh, yeah.
It's very interesting. I was told from one of the members that I believe they may be disbanding the MLK charitable organization. I know I asked for information and receipts for some of the funding that we gave them last year. We gave them $15,000. I was told I would not be able to get one receipt to show for anything on there. And so with that, I would like our Parks and Recreation Department to spend that money and throw an MLK bash. I know there still will be, with our assistance, hosting a parade, and they will still do their banquet, and they will still do the breakfast. So the only thing this year that we would be required to do, if this is okay with everyone else, is the MLK bash, and then I think we need to look for a more permanent solution to how we are going to run the MLK festivities. Does anyone have any input? Commissioner Grace?
Yes, I think that we have substantial amount of volunteers in the city of Dania Beach that will be more than happy to, we're not going to let it disband. We're,
No,
because-
just their organization.
Just their organization as a whole, because we fought too hard in 1985 to have this as a national holiday in the city of Dania Beach. So I would think that what we should do is that Parks and Recreation can
Right.
help us with the planning of the parade, and that we have that money under the umbrella of Parks and Recreation. We do not divvy out $15,000 to that organization this year, but anything and everything that needs to be paid for will be paid for from the Parks and Recreation with receipts.
Absolutely. Commissioner Brandon Marty?
Yeah, I was just wondering, well, is there something wrong if I suggest, just thinking about it, all right? The parade is poor. It's poorly attended. The shop owners don't even open up. They don't even come out. There's two streets I love because that's where the most people are. Why can't we use the money for the people and throw a big bash and celebrate Martin Luther King Day?
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Oh, well, where was I? Look, it's late. I'm going to go home.
I don't know. I said we were going to
way.
help. No. They're going to still do their own parade. Their
Whoa,
organization.
wait a minute. Does that mean that we all have to get in our cars and go too?
Well, I mean, nobody's going to hold a gun to your head. You don't have to if you don't want to. But, I mean, if they invite you, I mean, I didn't even get invited last year, but if they invite you, put your car in the parade if you want. Or,
I don't put my car in the parade. They got to pay for it, not me.
Okay, or that. But, yeah, the monies will be used for MLK Bash. And the organizer of the
Where?
parade at the CW Thomas Park.
You don't want to have it at Frost Park?
Well, no, that's MLK is in the black neighborhood. And
I don't care.
I know you don't, but
It would be great. We were always fighting for everybody to be together.
I understand that that probably wouldn't work.
That's
You're-
why
you're
we're
probably
going to
having-
Pizza Hut next,
We
right?
surely are. No, but they're going to be different organizers of the parade.
Yeah.
I know I'm personally going to get involved in it and
And I
go
will
to these
too.
businesses
I can do
because the parade has potential.
I'm the
I
only
just
one
think-
that has a float in the parade every year.
You know what I don't like, Mayor, is when people are in the cars and you're throwing candy at the kids, and they got to go in the street to pick up a candy to eat
We're
it.
going 2 miles
Don't
an
do that
hour.
in New Jersey. They're going to run you
2
over.
miles an hour. Okay,
like
We
that.
so
can
is
do
there
it.
consensus on this?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Charitable donations, Commissioner Grace.
Well, I just happen to have my list here. Check it twice. In the past, we have designated $35,000 for charitable contributions. I was very disappointed after Hurricane Irma that certain organizations
Yeah.
that said they were part of Dania Beach and that were going to be
Didn't
there
give
for
them
Dania
nothing.
Beach, that we never saw one person from those organizations come in and ask us whether or not we needed assistance with water, with hot meals for our residents in the city of Dania Beach. And so I would like for us to focus basically on giving money, first of all, to the organizations in Dania Beach, which is a part of what we stand for. So I went down the list, and I'll make this very brief, that the aging and disability resources,
That's
we
terrible.
give them $17,000 per year. I would like to cut that. Actually, that's the proposal that they're asking us for.
How much?
Is $17,000.
How much did we give them
And
last
we
year?
gave them $9,500 on last year. I'm asking us to cut that to $7,000.
Is that Terry Hicks?
No, that is Edith, is it Letterhead?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Later,
okay.
Bird.
Okay. Family Central, we did not give them anything last year, and I'm asking us to give them $3,000. Jubilee, we gave them in the past. They requested $10,000. We gave them $1,500. I want us to keep it at $1,500. Tamara James Foundation, she got $1,500 last year. I'm asking them to increase that to $3,000. Women in Distress, which I think we should always be comfortable with giving to them, because they do so much, not only for the children and the single moms, that they asked us for $10,000. We gave them $15,000. I'm asking us to increase that to $3,000.
We gave them 1,500.
1,500.
Okay,
yes,
I thought you
yeah.
said 1,000.
We gave them 1,500. Okay, but I would really like for us to even up that to 3,000, maybe 4,000, because I know that we got a lot of single moms here. We got a lot. You understand?
It's a worthy cause.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank
There you go. Okay. American Cancer Society Relay for Life, we're not going to give zero because we're not doing that. Okay.
Well, how much did we give them last year?
We 2,500.
But we raise money for that. Right?
But we do it through Breast Cancer Awareness and Cancer Awareness Month. So we raise that money plus. So I don't think we really have to give them anything out of the $35,000 is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean, that's up to you guys if you want to, but
Makes
we're not
sense.
doing the Relay for Life anymore anyway.
Okay.
We didn't do it last year, and we didn't do it the year before. Friends of the Library.
They're great.
They asked for $3,500. We gave them $1,500. I'm asking us to give them $4,000. I agree. Okay. I got an agree. I like that. Okay.
They deserve it.
Broward 211 asked us for $5,000. We gave them $2,000. I'm asking us to keep it to $2,000. Okay. Broward Children's Center asked us for 10,000. We gave them 3,000. I'm asking us to keep it 3,000. Wellness Foundation, we didn't give them anything last year. I'm asking us to give them at least $1,000. Liberia Economic and Development Corporation, they asked us for $5,000. We gave them $1,000. I'm asking us to give them $2,000. Prestigious Club of Broward County, they asked for $15,000. We gave them $3,000. I'm asking us to up it $1,000, which will be $4,000. Hollywood, Florida Scholarship Foundation asked us for $5,000. We gave them $3,000, and I'm asking us to keep it at $3,000. Am I good with that so far?
Is that-
okay? Oh.
How many?
That's great for grades, but I've
need a
been able to touch other avenues to get more funding for them, so that they will have the funding. You have? Of course. Huh. Who do you think you're talking to? Broward Regional Planning Health Council asked us for $5,000. We gave them $3,000, and I'm asking us to keep it at $3,000. St. Luke Large, 530. You remember the gentleman that was back there, Mr. Morris Goldwire? We gave them $0. He is a partnership with, without any funding from us. This giveaway that's going to be at the patch on the 18th, I'm asking you to give them $2,000. That's large 530. And then,
well, how much money is this already?
I'm not up there yet. I've added it up. I'm going to tell you the figures once we get there, okay?
Okay.
Okay. J.A. World Heisinger, City of Broward, we gave them $0, and I'm asking you to keep it. They asked for $11,000. This year, they asked for $9,200. I'm asking you to keep it at $0 because I think that they've got the funds that they need. And then House of Hope, $0. Because reason I'm saying these are in Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale, and I think that those cities should be taking care of some of these organizations. And the Go Green Kids, $0. Love Nation, that's Mrs. Arva, who does they did the presentation with Earth Green with the children here in Dania Beach.
Mrs. Arville.
She works out of C.W. Thomas Park. They asked for $21,000.
Wow.
They got $1,000. I'm asking you to up them to $2,000. And the last one on this is Center for Hearing and Communication. I can't hear. Okay, they asked for $125,000. Yeah, well, I'm just reading what's on here.
$125,000?
Yes, $153.35.
Who got 100 and who?
The city paid them. Oh no, okay. That's what they asked for. We didn't give them anything, and that's it. If you
They asked for
add it all
$100?
up- Huh?
How much they asked for?
Eileen, ask for money.
So
You said add them all up?
yeah, if somebody want to add it up, I think it comes up to 38, and we projected 35. If you want to cut somebody, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
How much did it come out to?
38.
How much
So
we
we
have?
gotta
30?
cut it back
35.
to 35.
Well, I need a
Back
calculator.
What is this? Christmas?
We've allocated 35?
3,000 more.
One, three.
No.
No.
Review it.
That's
I wrote down.
That's what, and now I'm asking my colleagues to, the next meeting before Parks and Recreation get it, to make your recommendation so that maybe we can come up with something that we all would be comfortable with. Okay? Thank you.
I need your list because my list came up to a lot more money.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to scribble it down, but
Okay.
I think I failed miserably.
Okay. All right. We'll do that.
So I got lost. What are we doing with this?
It's just a recommendation. I'm asking my colleagues to come up with their lists. I know this is going to go, City Manager, this is going to go to Parks and Rec, but those are my recommendation. Hopefully, you guys will tell us what you want to do, or whether you want to decrease it or increase it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like in The King and I, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, give me 1 second. I think my computer went dead. Should have had a book.
Okay.
No, I'm good. Okay, do we have a consensus for this? Yes? Do we have a consensus for this to look at it and come up with our own?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay, well, that's that. Could you give me a copy of, is that allowed for us to get a copy of Ms. Grace's, since it's public record? Okay. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Brandon Marty.
Right. All I want to say is that sadly, we lost a member and of staff, really, and that Jackie Bazell of Human Resources. She passed away, and she was one of the most wonderful people that I've ever met since I came on this commission, really. She always called me her fashionista. If I was going to go to anyone's office to go speak about something, she'd say, "You got to stop by my office first. I want to see what you're wearing today." And she was wonderful, and she was brave. That's something, I don't know. She just was a brave person. That's all.
Commissioner Grace.
Yes, I also want to share my condolences with her family and from the city of Dania Beach. We started out with the breast cancer treatments around the same time. It's a tough thing if you've never gone through it before. Some of us survive, some of us don't. But I'm telling you, it was the lowest peak that I've ever had in my entire life, not knowing whether I was going to survive the end of the day from the chemo treatments, the surgery, and from the radiation. My heart goes out to her family because she will never have the opportunity to see those children finish college, get married, have children, grandchildren. I've had that luxury. I would have traded places with her because I know that I've lived a full life, and I know that she had so much more that she could have done. And it's a sad thing. That's why I fight so hard for us to make sure that we donate to the American Cancer Society so that we can celebrate another birthday, and that's the importance of it. And if we never do anything else, we have to realize that this cancer is a deadly disease that kills, and it does. It kills. And so we've got to try and find a cure for it. So I'm praying and hoping that everything will work out for that family, especially those children. And I think that we as a family, because I believe Dania Beach is a family, that we keep in touch with those children and the family members to make sure that they're doing okay. I also want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I think all of those organizations that are putting together the Thanksgiving drives, and we have at least 5, everybody in this city should have something to eat around the Thanksgiving holidays. It's a wonderful thing that when my family and I sit down and have dinner on Thanksgiving, I know that I've done the best that I could to make sure that every family that I've touched have the same things that we're having for Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Commissioner Savino.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd make it short and sweet. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I also had a great time on Veterans Day at C.W. Thomas Park and at the American Legion Post 304. There was a lot of volunteers from the C.W. Thomas Park for the rebuilding. And what they did is they painted, I think they painted the whole American Legion in 2 hours, which kind of blew me away. That's how many people they had. Last but not least, you know, I don't want to dwell on Jackie. All I can tell you is when I got here when I was elected mayor, she made me feel very comfortable when I came in here, filling out the paperwork and helping me and guiding me through. And she attended my house for holidays and with her family. She has a beautiful family, and I'll miss her. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I'm headed to Charlotte, North Carolina tomorrow to represent Dania Beach at the National League of Cities, so everyone know that I'll be out there and I'll try to do us proud in Charlotte with 3,000 other elected officials, so I'm looking forward to that. There's a couple more things, and the bus stops that we're still talking about, are we any closer to getting any bus stops in front of the new hotel? I mean, it's just awful what we see over there, and the bids, okay, because, you know, it couldn't happen sooner. I want to thank Brad from Public Services for some additional work with Ray, who came by with the claw truck to pick up some large debris that was kind of left behind, and the grass was growing up around it. So the people from Island Club were asking for, you know, an extra pickup, so we were able to get that done. And thanks to Ray, he was out there manning the claw. So the claw. Yes. The class and pay study, I know that's happening. Do we know when that's happening?
It's being reviewed now.
Okay. I mean, I just need to follow up on these things from before. The
I think
traffic
next
light
commission meeting.
at Northwest First and Bryan Road. Now, somebody at the MPO told me last week that we should void the interlocal agreement and just put our own traffic light up there. Is that a possibility on Bryan Road?
I don't think you can do
Okay, that came right from one of the directors at the MPO, because he said you're never going to get that light, so void the interlocal agreement and get your own.
Right.
Yeah. So now, as far as the new commission conference room, did you ever put together a storyboard with the designs and the furniture and the paint colors and the tile and all of that?
We saw it tonight.
Is it?
It's in the other room.
We did.
Colin Donnelly, Assistant City Manager. I just got the samples today.
Okay.
So I'll contact you during the rest of the week to go through the color sample.
Okay, that's good. You know, the interest sign we talked about. At some point, I know when SEMA was able to show his designs tonight, we need some an upgrade with our AV technology. Like we need a flat screen there, and we need a flat screen there, and we need a control panel up here that somebody can control. And I got a text during the meeting that the audio quality was very bad tonight. So, and you talked to me about that when I came in, that there's got to be some way to alert people that if they're watching at home that they need to be able to see and hear. So I don't know what the alternative is for something in the backup, like no TV tonight, Facebook Live, or however we can stream it to whoever wants to see it. You can stream it from an iPhone, actually, if we get a 14-year-old in here. Right?
But you budgeted this year for some.
Okay, and then also, I mentioned to Bob, for the next hurricane, if there ever is one, solar-powered traffic lights that are available. The technology's changing. They have them in Pembroke Pines. They're about $26,000 a piece, and at our major intersections. It's something to think about. What? Right, solar-powered. I mean, you never know if we're going to have another one in 2 years or 20 years. So.
There's nothing else on your paper.
I know.
I'm not going over everything, you know, it's just some stuff. It's just like if we don't keep addressing these things, sometimes they die on the vine like a wrinkled tomato. Oh, I know what Charlotte, you just reminded me. I was with Charlotte yesterday and I said, no. The post office thing yesterday. The post office was stolen in front of the Dania Beach post office on October the 29th. I got a call yesterday saying, oh, where's my payment? Where's my check? And I'm thinking like, oh, I mailed it on Saturday the 29th, which was Halloween weekend, and then went to see Sammy, the post office manager, and he said our post office box got stolen, our mailbox, outdoor mailbox. So with, you know, identity fraud and all these other things that you have to do as a business owner, we had to, you know, cancel all the checks, reissue, call the vendors. My advice to everybody who uses that post office, go inside and mail your letters, because there's no way to protect it. And I told you also, it's also, how are you going to protect that your mail and identity fraud and theft and all that, because there's no way to do it. There's just absolutely no way. So it's, and I had to make a police report today. Thank you, Captain Marks, for sending the deputies over, because in order to alleviate the late charges and the stop payment charges, you need to have a case number for the bank, so they'll hit you every time with stop payment fees. So nobody wants that. So anyway, just to be wise. Yeah, they got 3 mailboxes in the city on one night. Well, they don't know. They just took everything that was in them. The pad. They lifted them up with a forklift or something and hauled them away.
They're desperate.
They are.
Yeah.
So, word to the wise: guard your mail. Thank you and welcome, Raquel.
Okay. I'm gonna start with Pizza Hut.
Yeah, me too.
I'm hungry.
Well, I am now aware that we have businesses in our city that don't deliver to certain places after 5 o'clock p.m. When did Pizza Hut open? Do you know? Around the time?
About 4 months ago?
Really?
3 months ago?
No.
About 3 months ago, no?
No,
No, less than that.
less than 2 months.
Less than 2 months.
Okay,
you're
well,
right.
less than 2 months. We're gonna
Yeah.
roll with that. I received notice via Facebook that I read one of our residents' Facebook post that said they were very upset that they called Pizza Hut to make the place a delivery, and they told them they were not delivered. I was very shocked, a lot of different emotions, so I decided to go by Pizza Hut that day. That was Saturday. And so I went by Pizza Hut and basically was told that someone had been robbed and that they were no longer delivering to the northwest section. And so I asked, what was the address where they had been robbed? And then the manager then told me somewhere in the southwest section. And I said, well, what does that have to do with the northwest section? And he kind of changed the story 3 times to make a long story short. I asked to speak to the supervisor. He wouldn't give me any information for the supervisor. He wouldn't even give me his name. And so I wrote down my information. And today the supervisor called me back and told me that actually the robbery happened on Charleston Street.
That's not Dania.
It's not even Dania Beach. And so I'm asking him, well, what does that have to do with the Northwest and the Southwest? What does that have to do with Dania? How dare you open up a business and not deliver or cater to our residents that are right next to you? He told me that, and I spoke with Chief Marks, that the officer who came to do the report was a BSO officer from Dania Beach and advised him not to serve to those communities.
What? After 5 o'clock.
After 5 o'clock. I am disgusted, number one. I feel like I'm trying to be very careful with my words, but that's unacceptable. I do not welcome any business that is going to discriminate on who they want to service in our communities, especially a new business. I've been here since I've been born, and that's since '84. And Pizza Hut was here when I was born. They left. They've come back, and not an incident has happened, and they refuse to service our residents in the Northwest and certain parts of the Southwest after 5 o'clock. I think that is despicable. It speaks to the morale of who we are on this commission and what we allow. I will not stand for it. I will get to the bottom of this. You know, women do a better job than the FBI at investigating certain things. Mm-hmm. And I, for one, I'm very hurt that, you know, they will look at a certain part. So that means no one in Dania Point will be able to get pizza because they're in the Northwest section.
We're going to have upscale restaurants, but we're going to make them accountable,
I understand
Mayor.
that.
We're
And-
going to make them accountable.
And then now it's to my understanding that they aren't the only business that's doing that. And so this is our brand, ladies and gentlemen. This is who we stand for. And I asked Chief Marks, and he said they haven't even gotten a police report about a robbery in the last month from Pizza Hut. So someone's lying, and I'm going to find out who it is. And I'm not going to welcome. I'm not insinuating this, Chief Marks. No, I'm not going to welcome any businesses or be supportive of any businesses here in our city that treat our residents like second-class citizens, because we are more than that, and we're getting to a place where I feel like we are evolving, and we need businesses that are here that's going to serve all of us, not just some of us. And so that's Pizza Hut. I did speak with the supervisor today, and I asked him, I'm not sure who he has delivering to certain neighborhoods, but maybe if he got people from those areas to deliver there, maybe he would find people. I'm not sure if he has black people that are servicing the black neighborhoods, but from his recollection, his drivers refuse to go to certain neighborhoods, and that's just unacceptable for me. On to something more grand. The Neighborhood Oasis Veterans Celebration was something that I was honored to be a part of here at C.W. Thomas Park, and then went over to the both Legion Halls. I attended both ceremonies, and the response from people who just wanted to pour back into their communities was amazing. We had over 250 volunteers, Chick-fil-A, a lot of different partners, BSO, and Home Depot and Church United. I can't name all of them that were on there, but such a collective joint effort in improving our neighborhoods. I've got a flood of phone calls asking for some of their grandparents' houses to be next to some of the elders in the community. And so I can't wait to do it again. I heard that we'll be able to do it again in the very near future, and I can't wait to do that again, because it was a great response, and it really touched the hearts of those residents to know that the city and people actually care about them the way that they do. And it actually felt good to, on Veterans Day, be able to give back to the veterans by painting those, excuse me, those Legion Halls. And the Thanksgiving drives, tonight we had Greater Mount Zion of Dania Beach giving away free dinners. We have a Thanksgiving drive on November 18th at the Patch from 10 to 1. Thankful for the CRA and Morris Goldwire and everyone else who put this together for us. At November 20th at C.W. Thomas Park, there will be domes across that at 6 p.m. that will be giving away Thanksgiving supplies.
Mayor, from
Yes?
5 to 7, I had her change it because the parks close up at 9, so I had to change the date, the time.
Okay.
Okay.
And then my organization will have a Thanksgiving drive where we will give out an abundance of turkeys and produce and canned goods, and we look to feed well over 200 families. And that will be on the 21st at 5 p.m., the end of Northwest 12th Avenue at the dead end. And I know that Ms. Grace and the firefighters plan on doing something additional after that, but I don't really have
The next day, right after are yours.
on the 22nd. So everyone should be fat like a turkey.
John Bartley, the fire department, Jackson's Ice Cream, and Commissioner Grace.
Awesome. So everyone should be very satisfied, sleepy, and full by the time Thanksgiving ends. And I have a lot of Thanksgiving leftover recipes that we can make breakfast, lunch, and dinner out of. I advise you to look on Pinterest and get you some recipes and do the same. I want to tell staff that because of Miss Jackie's memorial, that I just could not miss. Miss Jackie, she's watched me grow up. And in turn, I've actually trained her daughter in basketball. I was very close to Miss Jackie. And so I have to be here on Saturday. So I'm not sure how we get our money reimbursed, because I was supposed to go to the National League of Cities, but my heart just won't allow me to do it. I'm so grateful that they're having a memorial, because, you know, initially they didn't want to have any type of service. So I would not miss that chance to send my condolences face to face with her family and in grief with them. And so I'm asking to please have Chris cancel all of my reservations, and hopefully airfare and stuff should be able to be reimbursed when you have a death or something like that, correct? No, I'm not going at all. I'm not going at all, because I was going to go on Thursday, and I'm not going to come back on Friday. It's just 2 days of traveling, And so with that is it. I guess we can move on to appointments.
Mayor, before we do appointments.
I'm sorry.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Colin and to thank Jason for helping with the Veterans Makeover, because they work very hard on getting the list together, getting the volunteers in. Where is she? She's gone. Katia? Is she right?
Katia? Yeah,
Yes.
she's not here.
Okay, she did an excellent job, Brad. Thank you so much for having her. And let me tell you that my heart just sank knowing that Pizza Hut is not coming into my neighborhood when I had over 250 volunteers coming into my neighborhood doing stuff. And I'm going to tell you, it's not acceptable. I will be marching in front of his store with my own sign telling nobody to really patronize him. I'm serious. This cannot happen. When I've got a diverse community coming from outside to help us with projects and I have something like this happen, I can't accept it.
I'm with you. I do want to welcome, for those of you who may not know, our newest member of City of Dania Beach, Raquel. She's our new CRA director. Could you stand for a second? You know, do your twirl, girl. Okay. Thank you. And then with that, we'll move on to appointments, which is the Dania Housing Authority. The person who I put on the board, or we approved to be on the board, does not fit the requirements. But we had somebody up here because she's not low income.
There's one member that has to be, of the 7 members, has to be under low income or part of someone receiving a rent subsidy administered by the authority.
So none of them that are on there now are low income?
No, she doesn't even live in Dania.
The one whose term expired on October 31st, Tiffany, yes. She was that low income person. The mayor wants to appoint somebody new, so.
Which is not.
Which is not, but listen, I'm gonna do my best to revamp this Housing Authority Board one way or another. I'm just gonna be very honest and transparent with you all. There's a lot that's going on. There is a lot of residents that are unhappy. You just saw the gentleman that came down here, and so depending on what his situation is going to be, he will be my next appointment, but I would not appoint anyone at this time. I know Tiffany has expressed a desire to stay. However, I do not know Ms. Carlisle, and so I would rather, I've never even met her face to face, and so I would rather go with someone that, right, I'm just going to leave it blank for now. Yes?
Was Commissioner Wright, those 3 ladies that came crying that night here, they're not there anymore?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not sure.
They're not there.
Well, you know, that raises a flag because, you know, when the housing authority does their thing about putting in more residents there, those people have to be screened all over again, so you could pick and choose who you want to live there? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah. Administrative reports.
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't bring the information, but Jackie's memorial is this Saturday at 10 o'clock. I understand everybody's welcome to attend. If you call our office, we can get you the address, and you can also make a donation. We sent flowers because the city obviously can't donate, but that's this Saturday at 10. And then I wanted to thank everybody else. That Oasis program this Saturday was really great, and I wanted to thank Dr. Schnibman, Frank Schnibman, and Fred Bletcher and the engineering students at FAU. The turnout was amazing, the number of people. I think they trumped you, Commissioner, from our last Oasis, where Commissioner Grace was getting all the volunteers, and they said there were 400.
Yes.
I believe it.
Yes. We have the picture, and we have the area, yes.
And I know I keep mentioning this, I sent you pictures, but Smith's is gone, so now we just got to work on the other buildings.
That was great.
And happy Thanksgiving. That's
Happy
all I have.
Thanksgiving.
I will echo the sentiments of the commission about Jackie, with whom I felt have a good, wonderful relationship, and with her family. I'll be there Saturday as well. Again, like the mayor said, I'm glad they have offered to have a service for. This is a woman that did so much for this city.
Yes, she did.
And touched so many lives here with just such gentility and kindness and belief in God and strength. She's just an amazing woman. And she's someone for Thanksgiving we should be thankful that we had this person in our life.
Oh, that's really nice of you. Before you do that, did you have something?
Because Carol, you have been here the whole time tonight, I just wanted to mention, for my other commissioners here, when I saw Carol in the lobby yesterday, Carol Hemis, she's sitting right there, she's a member of the American Legion also. During the hurricane, a ficus tree got knocked over and pulled up the water line in her yard, and nobody could go out there for like 10 hours or something while the water was running. And I think the city, under that condition, would deserve to forgive part of her bill, because that was like an act of, yeah, for a water bill, and she usually pays $50 a month. And, you know, when Carol told me that yesterday, she was on her way to the window, and I just think we can do better than that for something that happened that was out of our control in the middle of a hurricane. So what do we have to do to forgive part of that bill? I mean, this was because of a hurricane.
The irony of the whole thing is, just before that, Carol had applied to the city to remove that tree because she was afraid of it.
Well, she's entitled to a sewer credit, and then, other than that, the city attorney would have to tell you.
Okay, well, Tom, when can I make an appointment with you to talk about this with Carol? Because I just think it's so unfair. It's so unfair.
You know what? There's a lot of cases that come before us that are very unfair, and I don't understand what's going on with things or how we're going to address them.
How do we, you know, prorate? I mean, all you have to do is look at the history of the water bill, and you can tell what she's using. But
versus
I mean, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do?
Prime example.
There may be something in the ordinance.
Brenda Fox.
The manager is right that you forgive the sewer bill. That's about 1/3 of the bill. That doesn't help the water part of it.
Right.
So if there's a hardship circumstance in the ordinance, I'll try to find it.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you, Tom. Thank you.
So I saw you yesterday, so I couldn't let that go. There's an opportunity there also. So our FEMA good representative in Washington is coming to town, so maybe we can ask him for some reimbursement as well.
You know what they're giving now, though? Food thing. Card for food.
Because who's going to go out in the middle of a hurricane
Nobody.
and turn off the
Even
water?
the police don't.
No. So that's it.
City Clerk?
Your next meeting will be December 11th, at 6 p.m. for CRA board meeting and 7 p.m. a city commission meeting. That's all we have. Thank you.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for staying here, and
Yes, that's
happy
a Monday.
Thanksgiving.